What's going on, everybody? My name is Sebastian Carcione. I am the owner of MPG Fitness, one of the nation's largest powerlifting gyms. I'm also an event director. I direct 10 plus events per year for Powerlifting America, and I'm on a mission to mainstream the sport. This podcast is about interviewing people who are doing big things in the sport. So if you're someone or you know someone who's doing big things in the sport that wants to talk about it, hit me up. We'd love to chat about how we can make powerlifting bigger and better. Today we have Chris, Big Body Ferrati, coming on the podcast. Chris is part of Team Flex. He's also the famous coach is Joey Flex's brother. So we're going to be chatting about all kinds of stuff. We're going to be chatting about our experience at Sheffield. We're going to be chatting about upcoming events in the sport of powerlifting. So hang in there with us. We're going to wait till he joins in the chat, and then we will add him in here. Super excited. We've been on a couple podcasts together, but never one-on-one. We have tons of conversations via Instagram, so it's going to be really cool to chat with him. There we go, baby. There we go. Get in here. It always takes like 3 tries to accept it. There we go. What's going on, baby?
What's going on?
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I was like, damn, I'm having him on his birthday. I'm like, should I do that? I'm like, what would he rather be doing on his birthday?
Exactly.
I stopped feeling bad really quick.
No, don't feel bad at all. This is what we do, man.
I'm like, perfect. Okay, so this podcast is kind of morphed into, obviously I'm on a mission to mainstream the sport, so the podcast has turned into people who are doing big things in the sport. Those are the people we want to talk to. So whether you're a coach, whether you're an athlete, whether you're an entrepreneur, we want to talk to you. So I was super excited to have you on. Obviously, we've had tons of discussions in the DMs about this. So go ahead, tell everyone about your background. Maybe people aren't familiar with who you are. The other Flex brother.
So my name's Christian Ferrati. I am a powerlifting coach full-time with Flex Training Systems. I've had the opportunity to work with great athletes and help them get to some big stages. And just pursuing greatness and working to really my career goals inadvertently align with yours, Sebastian's, MG Poppy, because through my small way that I can somehow work to build up great athletes and help supplement this sport. In that small way, it helps the grander scheme of things. And even through just posting content, information, and just helping the sport as best as possible, we want to see everyone grow. But that's who I am, and that's kind of what my goal is to obviously I love winning. I come from a football background. I like to say I'm a good winner, but I'm a worse loser, to quote Shannon Sharp. But that's kind of a little bit about myself.
Yeah, let's start there. So I think that's how either you were a nerd or you were a jock if you got into powerlifting, right? There's no in between. Right? You're either a nerd and you like found something later on, or you played sports and you that's how you got into lifting. So you played high school, college, where'd you play?
So I played I started off actually in Taekwondo, mixed martial arts. We ended up going to the Junior Olympics here in Pasadena, California. Got to compete in front of Bill Clinton at the time when he was our president. That was cool. And from there, just kind of went along the ranks. I saw my brother play football in high school. Then I was like, I want to try that out. I'm a physical guy anyways. We were playing basketball. Fell in love with it. Was able to go to junior college, Santa Monica College, where Chad Ochocinco went, Isaac Bruce, some decent names in the NFL. And then from there, got a scholarship to Prairie View A&M. It's a SWAC school and then had 1 year of eligibility, decided to forego that and transfer to a D2, Northwestern Oklahoma State. That's where Patrick Creighton went played for the Cowboys. And then from there, went on to try out for like 50 CFL teams. Ended up getting on with the Saskatchewan Roughriders with Chris Jones, and then got cut like 2 weeks after. Then I realized, okay, there's levels to this with, just being a top tier professional football player. At that time, I think I was around like 25, and I realized, okay, I've been pursuing this for a long time. And my brother's been whispering in my ear that whole time. I'm watching my brother kind of do his thing and come up in powerlifting throughout my pursuit of football. And he's just kind of like, you've been coming with me to these LA fitness expos and seeing me compete with like these untested guys. He would do like the untested USPA meets
Yeah,
sometimes.
that's big in California. Still
Yeah,
big.
yeah. And he would what's his name? Dan Green would be there. Brandon Lilly was there. I saw him. Unfortunately, I had a front row seat, and he was taking like a 700 plus squat, and I saw both his knees implode right in front of my face, and it was insane. And then Dan Green had to actually take his squat right after that, and he got it. But yeah, so I just saw him coming up throughout that time. And I just said, all right, like, my brother keeps telling me, come over to the dark side. I finally do. And, started the powerlifting journey and really started to like train, go under his wing,
Yeah,
shadow him
what age were you
everywhere.
when you started powerlifting?
What was that?
What age did you start powerlifting?
Uh, Officially started powerlifting in 2017. So I just turned 32 today. So yeah, I was around like 27. No, I was younger.
Yeah, that's
25,
8
26.
years. So you were
Yeah.
nine.
So yeah, about 25, 26.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So and then
But you
yeah,
had
and then
been SBDing with for football, right? I mean,
I've been FBDing since I think probably like what, maybe 14, 15. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I want to get to well, obviously get to your story, but I'll just like people talk about how powerlifting's not like mainstream, blah blah blah. I mean, every high school in America, people
Right,
SBD. Like
right,
that's what we do in
right,
football.
right,
Like so
right.
for people to, I know maybe the brand of powerlifting isn't big, but the relatability of powerlifting is there, and I just want to make sure people
Yeah.
understand. When people talk about the sport's popularity, it's incredibly popular. It's just not popular to smush them all together and do them on one day,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And
Exactly.
we know this because we play, I don't want to say real sports, but I think we do need to kind of decide, when powerlifting becomes a quote real, like when do we become mainstream? What does that criteria look like? And actually, I have that on here at the very end of our thing.
Yeah.
But we're getting a little feedback. It just came out of nowhere. Is that better? Let's see. Sounds a little better. Anyway,
I can hear you fine. Yeah.
okay. It might be my voice coming through your mic, but it sounds better now.
Uh,
Anyway, so back to your story. You were competing in powerlifting. At what point did you go, like, did you get picked? Did you get into coaching? Like, how did that transition happen?
yeah. So my brother saw me developing, and over that time, as he kind of just was like, he was testing the water because he wanted to see how would I do in this sport. And at the time, I was a anatomy teacher at a private school out here, and I was coaching football. I actually started my first job as a defensive coordinator. Then I went to a bigger high school, and I was a D-line coach, and I was there with my alma mater with like all my coaches that coached me back in the days, and we ended up that first year we ended up winning a city championship. And here in Los Angeles, like football is like really big, and there's a
Yeah,
lot of high schools. There's like over 500 city section schools alone. You got schools like Mater Dei, St. John Bosco that are just, they're like already UCLA level, USC
right.
level. And uh so we ended up winning, and my brother would kind of see, like, over time, like athletes that I'm working with, like specifically like D linemen, they are like they're affecting the game, and calling them game wreckers. And some of them, one of them, he plays at Florida right now. He was at Florida as a tight end. I've been telling him to be a defensive end because he literally looks like Von Miller, but he's in love with catching the ball. He just transferred over to Bowling Green to get like a bigger spot in a smaller pond, I
Yeah.
guess. But yeah, he just kind of saw how I worked with like young athletes, and then um, I would tell him and be like, hey, if I see that at that time, Flex was like the most. It was exploding. I mean, this was before a lot of other teams were available, so the market only had so many coaches that were known. And I told him, he would talk to me about how he's like, I have a lot of interest, but I can only coach so many people. So this is when he had just brought on William Squats and Mikey D, and I was the third coach to be brought on. And I told him, I was like, I'd be willing to, see where this goes. If I can do this, I don't mind testing the waters. What do you think? He's like, yeah, I'll give you a shot. So he tried me on with 5 teens, and he said, you're going to coach them for free for 4 months, and I'm going to see what your coaching is like. And if you can retain them and progress them, then we'll ask them if they want to maybe start, paying a service fee, And then from there, they ended up liking the training. All 5 of them stayed. And I
Yeah,
just kind of
I
built
you
my
know
way
what?
up.
I mean, I love to hear that. Like, so many coaches don't, people in general don't want to work for free. And like,
Yeah,
if you want to get into any business
yeah.
and you want to succeed, you have to do it for free first, right?
Yeah,
You have
essentially,
to.
yeah.
You have. When I was a personal trainer, I trained people for free. Like, you have to get experience,
Yeah,
and I don't think people know this, but like, if you came to me and you said, you wanted to work for me and you didn't have any experience, I'm not paying you, right? Because it takes
right,
time out of my day to,
right.
to teach you. So I really do like hearing that. I think more coaches need to take some time to, learn and do stuff for free. But yeah, go ahead and continue. You working with.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. It's extremely important. Like, you have to prove yourself. Like, I know coaches that um it's weird in powerlifting because I know that there's coaches that kind of reach out to offer their services, and I know that's like kind of done like you hear these days that a lot of people that are trying to like build their name as a coach, they like offer their services, especially like in public, or not in public, but like in public gyms, kind of talking, having conversations with people. But I just remember coming up, Joe would always tell me like, we don't do that. The way that we're gonna build our name is through our work. That's how you kind of build like prestige and you build like value, is like do good work, put up results, and you're gonna have a more uh, fulfilling relationship with your lifters because they are coming to you and they want to work with you. We've understood like that's just how you do it. So
Right.
yeah, I built up
So
the roster.
I actually, another point I love that you just made. I tell this story all the time. We were at Bench Press World and we're eating at this restaurant, and they have a dessert. They have this tiramisu,
Yeah,
and we eat this tiramisu, and it was so good that we
yeah,
literally told everyone at the entire event about it for free. Right?
yeah,
The restaurant wasn't paying us. It was so good that we're like, you guys got to try the tiramisu. You got to. I mean, I still think about it to this day. And so when you mentioned like the best way to sell a product is to be so good that everyone tells everyone about it. That's the key, right? We want not only the coaching, but we want the sport of powerlifting to be so good and so entertaining that everyone tells each other about it,
hundred
right?
percent.
Like, how many times do we get off on tangents? We're talking about powerlifting. We get off on a tangent talking about football, right?
Right.
Football's just a better product, and it's
Yeah,
like it's easier to talk about, right? And so we want that same thing, and we'll get into that later on. But
yeah.
yeah, go
Yeah, so
ahead.
I'll just wrap it up, and so yeah, so pretty much um I ended up working with a couple, and it took me, I think it's important to say this so that aspiring coaches hear this. It took me like a good 2 years to get to that all right, I'm becoming full time. You know what I mean? And that's not always the case. Like some coaches, I don't know what the timeline is for filling that up to be that roster points to saying like I'm full time. Um, but yeah, that was like one of the key things was like I had to work up to earning 50% from working for free to getting paid 50% of client retention payments. And then from there, after the next 3 months, on top of the other 4 months, then I built myself up to 70%, which is standard. And for here at Flex, what we make. And so, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's kind of how I built myself up as a coach. And then I've been doing this for, I don't even know how long. I think I'm like, I know I'm past 6 years. I think I'm entering the seventh year coaching now.
Right.
Yeah.
And 6 years for how young a sport powerlifting is. Six
Yeah.
years as a coach is well. I mean, you're one of the more well seasoned coaches. I think of like you got you, and then you got Mike T, and like everyone else is pretty new, right?
Um, so I would say, okay, so like, I'm gonna actually name out some American coaches. So like, Marcellus has been doing this for a little while. My brother's been doing this for over a decade. Mike T's been doing this, I gotta believe, like over 2 decades.
Right,
I
Gary,
think
Matt's
Matt
met
Gary's
Gary.
been doing this
Yeah,
since none of us were born.
right, right,
uh,
right, for sure.
uh, uh, I think Stanik's been doing this for like Uh, he's been in it for a little bit. I think he's got like 6, 7, or maybe 9 years. Something like he's been doing it since he was young. Coach William Squats. He's actually been doing this like a little less than or around the time my brother has. So William Squats is actually he's Ina coach. He's Ina's coach. He's been
Okay,
doing this for quite a bit of time. He's over a decade. Um, Steve Genovi's been in this for a while. Um,
right,
Sean
but
Noriega.
my point is like a while is only like for most coaches in other sports, like it takes 20
I would say
years to get there.
yeah, I would say with how young the sport is, like I would say like if you got 5 years, that's decent. If you got like 8 and up, that's like all right. You're pretty seasoned, yeah. So I would say I'm a little bit in between there. But yeah, if you got 10 plus, 20 plus, you're pretty
Yeah.
established.
So kind of the example I'm thinking about, Ben Johnson just got hired as the Bears head coach.
Yeah,
He's been coaching for 15 years, and he's like the youngest coach. He's one of the
yeah,
younger coaches in the NFL. He's been coaching
yeah,
for longer than most powerlifting coaches. So it's just interesting to see that dynamic. And I've actually been criticized before for comparing powerlifting to other sports, but it's like it just helps give context. Because I have a lot of people on here who follow me from the gym that know nothing about powerlifting. It's like I just like to give people context in
yeah,
other sports to kind of maybe get them involved a
yeah.
little
And
more.
in football, just touch that really quick. Like you have to like, you'll have like 5 different college jobs before maybe you get promoted up to like a higher ranking coaching position, and you'll have been in the sport for like 20 years to
Yep.
really earn your trust from a staff if they want you a part of that staff. So coach football, it's even hard. The barrier to entry is like very tough compared to coaching here in powerlifting, of
Right.
course.
Yeah, I mean, you're directing your customer is directly the athlete, whereas like when you're a coach, like you have to deal with athletic directors, you have to deal with like head coaches, you have to deal with other people. It is a
Yeah,
little there are more barriers, like you said, more barriers, more guardrails,
yeah.
um, for sure. But yeah, I mean, so go ahead, like give us a little summary of like the past year, because like that'll get us to like where we're at now, and then we can talk about some of the stuff that's going on this year.
Like past year in
Yeah,
general for powerlifting or myself.
past couple of years, maybe what big things have stuck out to you in the past couple of years, and then we'll talk about this year. We'll get into the stuff I sent you.
Um, big things that stuck out to me in the past year. Well, obviously, I am a fan of Sheffield.
Yeah,
I am a
we're
fan.
gonna talk. So maybe skip that because we're gonna talk. That's a big bullet point. We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously Sheffield NAPF here in Arizona was pretty good, and I saw that meet, and I feel like that meet could have more potential to grow if done right because we did have some good talent there. Like for instance, I saw like all these new athletes from like Puerto Rico, Trinidad, Mexico, Ecuador, I mean Canada. I could go on and on and on. A lot of the Caribbean countries, Jamaica. Jamaica is like a team that um, kind of came out of nowhere, which was nice to see, and they have good talent too. And so that meet kind of stuck out. Obviously, Worlds, the notion and hearing about World Games coming this year. Um, what else stuck out? Oh, clearly these. We always talked about some years back where we say like that wave of talent is coming. You know what I mean? Like 2 3 years ago, like it was just kind of some of the
Bro,
more house.
that ain't a wave. It's a tsunami.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
a tsunami, bro. It's
yeah.
not a yeah,
And it's
I
crazy.
know what you're saying. Yeah.
It's crazy because uh this is not even this ain't even it. Like there's just wait till more American football freaks learn about this, or like rugby freaks, or wrestling freaks around the world that just hear about this, and when they come, like for instance, there's a group chat that I'm pretty sure you're familiar with where one of our buddies, he actually posted some dude that was like 300 pounds. And he looks like, in my head, I was like, if this guy got a coach, he would be dangerous. Like, he was already benching like 455 close grip, and he just looked like a unit. So, just kind of looked more like those football builds. So, yeah, that stuck out this wave, like the Willow Balls, the Chase Gravitz. I can go on and on. The Elliott Sykes, that I can go on
Well,
forever.
even the women like Alba came out of
Alba, I mean, look at
nowhere. Like
Alba, but also like if you think about Agatha, she is
right.
new and she doesn't even make sense. So, yeah, that wave was like, damn, okay, it started. Um, what else stuck out? Um, I have seen like meat directors kind of, we got to take it with a grain of salt. We got to give them some grace, but meat directors, there's a little bit more better jobs going on. I know we've had like many years of like people just complaining and doing terrible jobs, but now I have like I just coached at a local at Barbell Brigade, and I know I've heard that you do a great job with your gym with MG, and uh, I know that other
So
gyms.
here, I want to touch on that real quick. It's not that I do a great job, it's that I just don't do a shitty job. Okay? It's not, I promise you, it's not that hard to just run a solid meet.
Yeah,
You can run a good meet, you can make good money doing it.
yeah,
It's these directors just keep doing dumb shit. I
yeah,
cannot begin to describe how easy, like running a meet is very stressful. And there's a lot of moving parts, but I can't begin to describe how much easier it is just to do some basic things. And we'll talk about that later. But like, I don't want to take too much credit. I really haven't even scratched the surface on what I
yeah,
want to do. But
yeah,
like, I just am not an idiot. And so the bar is just very low,
yeah, yeah,
right? But yeah, go ahead. I mean, I thought that meet had a great crowd. I split up and I was like, wow, great crowd there.
yeah.
California powerlifting PA.
Yeah, for a PA meet in California, it was very refreshing to see. So yeah, shout out to Barbell Brigade and Iron Office. That crew does a great job. But yeah, I've been very happy about slowly but surely seeing like the quality, obviously of big meets are they're trying and they're putting in
So
effort, and you kind of
quick,
see.
real quick, when you mention quality, like what are some attributes? Like what do you like? What do they have that you really like?
Yeah. So like first of all, the format and the layout of things that make sense on where do you put a platform, where do you create space for your spectators to see, having food and vendors and like kind of music and keeping the it's an event, right? Like when I was at this last local, it was an event. You had food, you had some like little sports things to do outside where like there's kids running around and they're having a good time. The parents are locked in. The MC is very important in my opinion because it's the educator, the informer, but also the energy. It's how you keep like parents coming in, right? Or like a bunch of buddies. Like I had a lifter and he had like 20 of his boys and his girlfriends and boyfriends, like friends, right? Not actual relationship, right?
What a harem.
That came, right, right, yeah, yeah. That came and we're supporting him, and they're wearing some of the gear, supporting the brand that he was wearing, um, and they don't know nothing about this. One of our buddies, I used to coach him. I coached both of them in high school football, won a championship with them. One of them's a Muay Thai fighter, so he's like in mixed martial arts. He doesn't really know much about powerlifting, but he was rooting for. There's also a lot of like big level guys that were qualifying for nationals, and there, you got 800 deadlifts at a local meet going on, 700 squats, and like he's rooting for them, and that's exciting. And then also it's important because now you're saying if you want to see these monsters compete, they'll be at Atlanta in April. So now that kind of take some of the attention for people like, man, this was cool. I had a fun time. I might want to go to Atlanta and follow this guy. Maybe I like this liver's my favorite liver. So anyways, the formatting, making it an event, the music was lively. Music selection was diverse, but also good. It's like there's understanding as a DJ and how you set that up. Like everyone can enjoy all different types of music, so that's important. Again, the MC keeping the event lively. The referees were phenomenal. Operations were great. Like I remember coming up over the years when we'd be in local meets, especially. I mean, there's been national meets too, and it's just been like yeah. But I won't go further on that. I think you know what I'm talking about. But
Well, hold on. A well-run meet is the bare minimum. That is the
yeah,
bare, like, we should not be
it should
having
be
discussions in 2025 about a poorly ran meet.
100%.
And so, I've been to tons of meets. I think I worked like 25 or 30 meets last year. I
Yeah,
was all over the place. And
working.
one of the issues that hopefully we can get into a little more is everyone does it differently, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, I don't use the cards, right?
Uh.
I don't use any paper. Everything I do is digital.
Yeah.
And so we have a different workflow than other people do.
Yeah.
And so I think one thing maybe we can all work together on is creating some standards so that all meets are it's good to hear that meets are being better
Yeah.
ran, but I think that's like something we should all just, like, when you go to McDonald's, no matter if I go to McDonald's here or I go to McDonald's, I went to McDonald's in the UK, same experience.
Yeah.
The food's
Yeah.
different a little, but same
I think
experience.
that point is fair. I agree with it. Like I saw, I forgot where you had typed it, but you had written down kind of like some criteria of like some just like must-haves, and
Yes.
I do agree with that. Right? Like,
Yeah.
if you go back to like NFL games or like UFC fights, right? The cards, like there's a consistent standard operational way to do things, and that's why it's literally a consistency, like high level event, high level event, high level event. And as you just keep stacking those high level events and standard procedures of operation up, you build consistency, it's like it's the same product or better every time. So I agree with you on that. I think that leads to that.
Yeah, and that is I mean, I want to play devil's advocate. I want to be a realist. Like, we're a very young sport, and there's not everyone is me, right? Not everyone owns this huge facility that can be able to put on something like
Yeah.
this. But I think what happens is, what you can do is, if you get a sanction from Powerlifting America, which is the governing body of powerlifting in the United States, and which is part of the IPF, which is part of the International Olympic Committee, that meet needs to follow a very specific set of standards. And then if you're like, I can't meet those standards, just
Yeah.
run an unsanctioned fun meet, run a non-sanctioned charity meet,
Yeah.
and that way the pressure is not as big, and also the detriment to the organization really isn't there. And
Mm.
so I really would, I like that, like, if you put me in charge of Powerlifting America, that would be one of the things I would do.
Yeah.
Like, I would be like, hey, you need to meet this minimum set of standards or you can't run
Yeah.
a meet. Like, so I think maybe we can get to that, but I think here's the best thing about Powerlifting America, and something people don't talk about a lot. When you come to Powerlifting America and you're a meet director, you can get a sanction anytime you want.
Mm.
And so what that does is, it allows, I can have a sanction on March 15th, and John Boy can have a sanction on March 15th in the same zip code,
Mm.
and lifters are going to get to decide which meet they want to go to,
Right.
right? And so what happens is, the bad meets are going to go away, and the good meets are going to keep doing well. and that's why it's one of these like this secret thing that Powerlifting America, like when you talk about USAPL versus Powerlifting America, people aren't really talking about is how free of a system it is, and that system is going to develop better meat directors, right? If you're bad, I mean, I've literally had people complain about the fact that I pay my staff. They're like, you pay your staff too much. Now we got to pay our staff more. Fuck off.
Uh,
Like, good.
they're doing work. Yeah. No,
Fuck off. Like,
you're absolutely,
that's a critique. Oh, you pay your people too much? Fuck off.
no, I think I think you're doing what should be done, and kudos to you because, hey, man, people are saying that because they don't want to
Right.
spend.
They
The
don't
thing
want to
is,
spend. Yeah, no,
you
no,
have to.
listen, I don't take it seriously. I think it's hilarious.
No,
I'm like,
trust me. Hey, you're probably one of the best people about that. Like you don't take, you don't
well,
nothing affects
no,
you. That's
here.
good about you.
I, dude, we make plenty of money on the
Yeah,
events. Like, well, I don't know why I wouldn't pay people well. I mean, we're paying 25, $30 an hour.
yeah.
And so, you know what else it does? I don't have to worry. When I show up on meet day, I know my staff is going to be well prepared. I know they're going to show up on time because now there's a consequence. Now, if they don't do a good job, I can say, hey, sorry, we're not inviting you back because you weren't on time. You didn't do a good job. Like,
Another thing about that too, I know this is like, I mean, again, I'm really big on like healthy delusion, but also staying objective and practical. So you gotta have the balance. But you keep doing what you're doing, man, and eventually at some point you'll be able to like really say like I'm providing jobs with my events,
yes.
right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know
No,
what I
I
mean?
mean,
And that itself will grow, and that's gonna push meat directors and powerlifting, especially in our country, and people that hear about it worldwide, like with the smaller big meets, like this is how it is now, or else your event's not cracking, it's not popping. People
yeah.
aren't, they're not, you know what I mean? I think that we need that, otherwise we're just staying suppressed. It's like, what? Oh, you pay like this is a joke to ask people like come volunteer. It's like, no, people have families, people got things to do. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Well,
people live in
so
big
here's the
cities with
thing.
high living
So,
costs. You asking people to just take time away from their families and what they need to do to make money, whatever, to just come here
right.
and invest free time. Like, yes, it's giving back.
So listen,
Like,
hold on, I don't want to. There's two sides to that coin. So when I
yeah,
run a local meet, it's a for-profit endeavor,
yeah,
right? I'm making money, so
yeah,
so everyone needs to get paid. Like there's no controversy there.
yeah,
However, I do believe so. Powerlifting America is a nonprofit,
yeah,
and so if you're at nationals, you should try and volunteer.
yeah,
Like Powerlifting
yeah,
America, no one makes any money. It's for the betterment of everyone. If you're at nationals and you have a free session, you should reach out and try and volunteer because that's going to help the overall ecosystem of things.
yeah. And I want to, and just to be clear, like, there's a balance to like, is volunteer, am I saying don't ever volunteer? No, because then we won't have meets currently. But the volunteering ratio to actually getting paid to run a meet and all those that help run the meet, whether it be you're a ref or you're a spotter and loader. There's a God bless her soul, rest in peace. There's a little girl that just lost her life from bad
Oh,
spotting. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. So I almost I unfortunately saw that video. I think we lost him right there. Oh, you're back. Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
unfortunately I saw that video and like there was not one right thing about that video.
yeah.
Like
It was all.
I got for like I almost thought for a second it was fake because everything about that was so crazy. The equippedness, the spotting, like everything was so insane about it. So like I
Yeah,
almost don't even I almost throw it out to just like
yeah.
craziness.
But
But like
the reason why I bring that up is because, like, for instance, like referees should be regulated as well as spotters and
yeah,
loaders. Like, there's standards. Also, having a proper like, sound and operations crew, like to make sure that the electronics and all the tech stuff is on point. So everything, in my opinion, should be regulated. And so, as I'm saying, yeah, volunteering is still important right now, but over time, the volunteering should get less as the paid positions should increase, which means that the events are bringing in revenue. They're doing
Right.
better.
So
So
yes,
forth.
right now today, if you're running a meet and you're charging people for an entry and the proceeds are not going to charity, you need to be paying your staff at least minimum wage. Like
I agree.
that's non-negotiable. That should probably be a rule.
I agree.
That actually that's illegal. If you don't pay people at least minimum wage, that's illegal in a basically.
Yeah.
You can't volunteer at a for-profit environment.
Yeah.
It's wrong. It's just it's not only even if it's not illegal and there's some weird rule, it's wrong. Like we shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, I think we're slowly heading to that direction. Hopefully, when this year is done, we can look at like, I know you got the Rising Tides. I know you got a lot of events you got going on. You got the worker event coming up soon. You guys got a lot of as these events continue. We have a lot of bigger, small meets, right? If you compare it to like nationals, worlds, whatever. Uh, we need those events to grow. We need those small, big,
Yeah,
local meets to grow.
right. We probably need. I think we probably need 5 or 6 rising tides. I would think.
Would be great.
Um,
Would be great.
I don't know. I mean, we've had lots of discussions. I pitched one to you guys last night. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I glanced at it.
yeah. So like,
Those are some good numbers you had
yeah.
for the
So like,
prizes.
I mean, that meet, when I projected it out, I would make a couple $1,000s, and then it'd
Yeah,
be like each athlete would make like $2,000. Um, so I think there's and then like second place would make $1,000 each for a team of 5.
yeah,
So yeah, there's definitely something there. We'll see how we how we move forward with that. But I think there's a pathway to that. I think that's almost like not the pro level, but that's like beneath the pro level. Those kind of meets. Like, what do you think? What do you think a rising like who's going to do a rising tide? Like, what do you think the talent pool is going to be like?
I think the talent pool will be decent because first of all, they have a community that is like that local meet has a group of people that expands to this group, and that community is excited about it. And I have some young lifters that there's some things that are up in the air, but like I have some young talented lifters, um, and I'm saying this for like objective context where they're 500 dots or better, and they're going to be in some national meets. But if there's not any other opportunities after nationals that make sense for them, they're considering doing Rising Tide. And so I think that they'll have some good, sizable talent at that meet. And I think that that meet is a meet that can keep growing. You know what I mean? We need a lot of little Sheffields out there. You know what I mean? It's good for us. And the more of those we have, and the more they grow, and the more prestige that they accrue, you're gonna have more lifters and young lifters that are gonna have something to work for more often, and then it's gonna keep the ball rolling and the momentum continues. So, but yeah, I think there'll be a good amount of talent at that meet.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you mentioned Sheffield, so me and you were both there. Obviously, I went as a spectator. You were
Very
there as
glad
a
you went.
coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll. Do you want to go? Give me your thoughts about it, like what you experienced, and then I'll give mine. And then
Yeah.
we can kind of talk about things. I think two different experiences. Good perspective there. So
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. So the first Sheffield, I went in support of my team, and I went as a spectator. But in this one, this was at the time when like I think Article 14 was like there was some deal where I guess all these coaches were serving their time. So it was like Matt Gary, my brother,
You had to
Jason.
in the crowd, right?
Yeah, they had to sit in the crowd, so I was right there with them, and so I got to actually experience the first one as a fan, and then these last two recent ones, I've had the fortune of assistant coaching and handling and spotting and all that stuff, and helping my brother's athletes with their cuts and stuff, and I think that each year, from being at every one of them, I have seen that like there's always been little details that have improved, and then like visuals, operations, being timely about these things, just like little important things, even like before the meet, like the experience as a coach and seeing how our athletes, like they have media, they have a bunch of media stuff, Instagram, YouTube, podcasts, interviews, pictures, uh a product, like marketing product and stuff, just a bunch of stuff where it's like, even Russ was talking to us about it, and he's even said on some podcasts, he was talking about how like you actually felt like uh, a professional athlete. The coaches, we feel like, professional coaches, we're being like, we're getting picked up. We have a chauffeur service getting picked up from like a 3 hour drive from London, or if you're coming from Manchester, it's like an hour drive, 30 minutes.
Okay, so
You get picked up from either.
they're doing everything. They're like
They,
coming to get
you're
you.
getting fed breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You're getting picked up from the airport. You are you get some gear. You get your coach's pass. The athletes get their athletes passes, all that. You have access to certain places where you don't really have to worry about too much. It's I just think that like they're growing it to a real professional event. They're taking care of the coaches and the athletes, and I mean, I think they do a phenomenal job, man. I'm very happy to see how it's grown. Pete Spence and his crew, they've just been doing a great job. And it's growing and growing and growing. So I'm very excited to see that continue. As far as like on the day, everything's organized. Like everything's completely organized. It's a great operation. You have a whole like set crew that's like working that whole week, like setting up. They're doing rehearsals every day to make sure that the timing of certain operations are on point. Um, so yeah, my experience has only grown. I am always elated to take my family and be there with my team, and also see the rest of the powerlifting like world. All these people that you see on Instagram and stuff, you get to see them in person. You get to kind of talk shop and kind of break some bread, and it's just such a fun experience every time. Um, so yeah, my experience was great. As far as like in the warm up room during wartime when it's time to battle, it was awesome, man. Like the past two warm up rooms I've been in, like you get to see like certain coaches that are like super focused and they're like making sure that their calculations on point. You can see their game plan running over and over. They're going through scenarios in their heads. You see I've had the fortune of seeing different athletes each year come in, and some of them like um, this is a factor no matter what. Confidence on social media is completely different to when the day arrives,
Oh yeah,
and you know that there's 20.
shocker,
Yeah,
shocker.
yeah, and you know that no, but it's like because I love this, right? Because we come from football. Like I come from a fighting basketball, football environment and background my whole life. So now coming into powerlifting, like that has just prepared me so easily for like 2,200 fans. That's like a high school game for us here in
Oh
LA
right,
in some games.
right, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so it's just like this is easy, but it's very nice to see like I enjoy people's confidence and people trying to play mind games and the way they post certain lifts and stuff on Instagram. But I won't say these lifters' names, but some of them that talk such a big game, like, or just try to build up that notion of like I have momentum in training, it's gonna be a day for me, right? Man, those people were sweating. Like I'm looking at them. I had that feel and that look of like when you would step on the field in football and you look at your opponent and be like, you can look them in the eyes and you can know instantly like, oh, you're shitting your pants. And then there's some of them that you seem like are locked in machines. Like Gustav is like a machine. Uh, you know, Ashton's been on these big stages before. Ashton was locked in. He was ready to go. Russ was having a time. He was just in his environment. Jesus was like out for blood. Amanda's like, I'm killing everyone. Agata looked like, even though she was young, she's carrying that aura of like, I'm the best powerlifter in the world. You can't fuck with me.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I mean, she's playing with house money too. I mean, there
yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah. So like you could see who was confident and you could see who was kind of shitting bricks, and it was their first time there. And and then even like one of the athletes, I saw him walk on the stage, and it's that first like that's the thing I love so much about Sheffield. when you're kind of like in the holding room or yeah, you're like you get to look at your opponents and you're like, okay, let's see what's the vibe like. Let me read you. And as
Right.
soon as that curtain gets opened, and it goes like you first of all you get up and you hear the crowd like come on
Yeah.
they're yelling, right? And then when they open it and you see the visual, it's just like, oh, the lights right in my eyes, and like they're
Right.
yelling, and you
Yeah.
hear the MC and he's like yelling names like Russell Horty up for first attempt squad, da da da, and it's just like I'm just like, all right, this is an event, like this, let's go. And so yeah, it's just really cool to see like who had true confidence versus whose confidence was like maybe manufactured. And as they do this more, if they get to those bigger events like that, over time that'll iron out. But you know, that pressure, man, it's really good to see like who can handle it well versus who's like, oh man, this is my first time and a little jittery. But what else? Man, there's so much. There's so
Yeah, for
the
those hold on,
VIP.
for those of you just joining, people have been jumping in and out. He's talking about his experience with being a coach at Sheffield, just to give you guys some context. But go ahead and continue. Punch people. Go ahead.
Yeah, the VIP, like after the event, the VIP meet and greet, that has only grown each year. That has gotten bigger. The first one was like, it was like, okay, like I was surprised in the first one because I was like, okay, there's people here from around the world that actually want to meet these lifters. So I thought that was cool. The second one, I was like, okay, it's sizable. The third one, this recent one, it was filled in that hall. It was filled with people. There was literally lines of people to meet almost all lifters. There was lines, and you just see like everyone just kind of mingling, and it was great. You know, I thought that was awesome because that was also like that increases like the relationships and the fandom, in my opinion.
Oh, he's frozen.
And signatures and things that people can sign and stuff that people like the fans, they truly enjoy. Like they truly enjoy and are appreciative. Like I have this poster, my favorite lifter, I have the signature and all. And so I just think that that's cool because that I know coming up over the years we're like, oh, powerlifting's not a real sport. Did I lose you?
No, we lost you for a second.
Okay, what's the last thing you heard me say?
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about like people lining up for Sheffield and
Yeah,
like wanting to take
yeah.
pictures and stuff with people.
Yeah. So pretty much the fact that people are lining up and they get to get their posters with their signatures from their favorite lifters, share conversations. I was just saying that over the years, it was harder to view powerlifting as a real sport, but it's always been a sport. It's a sport, right?
Right.
It's movement through athletic performance,
Right.
through
It's
this
not
athletic
it's
strength.
not a commercially viable sport.
Right, right.
It's still a, I mean, there's plenty of sports that aren't commercially viable, but yeah.
It's like if we could call chess a sport through the movement of the fingers, like we could certainly call this
Oh
a
yeah, yeah, no, no.
sport. It,
I don't think there's ever been any discussion. Powerlifting is an athletic endeavor. It is a sport. There's no
yeah,
question.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
The question is when we joke about it not being a real sport, it's just I don't feel like it's taken very seriously.
yeah.
And it's also like it's not generating a living for almost anyone. So like it just that's I think we're talking about powerlifting is not a professional sport, right? It's not, right?
Right,
If people are making a living on powerlifting, with the exception of a couple people who live in very low expense areas, they have to either coach or they have to make money from sponsors. They're not making their main income from powerlifting.
right. So I think that pretty much what I was working up to the point I was working up to build up was this was like the most I've ever felt where legitimately it felt like this is a real sports event. This is a real sport. We have real fans with people from around the world here. It's a sizable amount, and that Europe is structured in a way where like you have actual like villages and towns, and so like there's everything around in the area that's walking distance, which is cool because like Sheffield's big. I think the population is like 2 million, I think, or 1 million. And so in that area, where all the hotels, the dining places, the clubs, the little shopping centers. There's a casino by. There's bars. There's pubs. All that. It's really cool because even throughout the whole week, like you're seeing people walk around, and it's just it's a different environment, and like people from other countries, like America, we're so big and we're so mainstream with so much that there's most countries like they look at powerlifting from a different lens. Like this is a real deal sport. Like this, like they really, 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 they really support this hard and are hardcore fans for certain lifters. So that, yeah, it's just refreshing to see that, and I've only seen that grow. So yeah, again, being there in the back every time seeing that grow, it's that real official feeling of like this is actually, a big sport, or it feels like in the moment it's a big sport, but obviously compared to others it's not. But all this to say it's growing, and I'm happy to see the direction it's in. So yeah, that's kind of wraps up like my. I try to give an in-depth, but give it quick and concise of what my experience was.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely. I mean, I'll kind of go give mine and obviously I come from. I tried to take it
Yeah, I
as
want to hear
like,
yours for sure.
yeah. So I guess I'll just give you this. So 2 weeks before, big body in a group chat is like, Seabass, why aren't you going to Sheffield? Like, why aren't you going? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I guess I never really thought about it. She's
Yeah,
like, I think you got the money. Why don't you go? I'm like, you know what? You're right. And so Matt Gary happened to be selling a ticket. And I'm like, okay, fuck. I'll like, oh, I get to sit next to Susie Gary, powerlifting royalty. Perfect. So I bought the ticket, and then I bought a plane ticket. And then I, it was actually the flight was super pleasant. Like, so I wanted to fly into London because I wanted to go and I wanted to see that stuff, and then I knew I could take a train up there. Um, so I flew. I left at like 11 p.m. Chicago time, and I ended up landing. I fell asleep on the plane, and then I woke up, and it was basically morning, and we were basically almost there. So I had a great experience flying there. Um,
nice.
but London is your typical big city. It feels much like New York. You take the public transportation into town, and then you walk around everywhere. So yeah, I mean, I saw the London stuff. Did all the touristy stuff. You only need to go to London once. There's not much there, to be honest. Like you see the clock and you see the museum and you see all that stuff.
Yeah,
Um, I wasn't um, I, I've said this before and I'll say it again. The biggest problem with Sheffield is that it's in Sheffield. Like that's if they could fix that, if they could put it in any other city, they could put it in Austin, Texas, they could put it in LA, they could put it in any other city, it would make the event 10 times better. I mean, and like I think most people, I have a hard time arguing with that, right? Like if that event were in New York City, it would be better, right? It's just England is not the best country. The weather's not good. I didn't have much great experience with the food there. I know you may have had the opposite, right? You said you had some good meals there.
yeah, I did.
Okay, so I'm willing to say I just picked bad places because the food was not good literally anywhere I went. So I didn't have that great of an experience. The weather, of course, in the middle of February is not going to be good in England. It's not good in most places. So um, again, Sheffield is really in the middle of nowhere. Like it's just that's I think honestly the biggest critique I would have is just if it were literally anywhere else. Like for example, at Bench Press Worlds was in Austin, Texas. Austin is one of the most vibrant cities in the world, right? Music, food, entertainment, like that that makes the experience, right? You travel out and you have an experience. It's not just the event; it's where you go before, what you do after, all the things to see and do.
Yeah,
Um, and I know the IPF talks a lot about that's why they rotate the location of worlds, is so everyone can travel somewhere new.
yeah,
So I would say that's my first. Obviously, I'm a critic by trade. That would be my first like critique, and that was kind of a negative. I would say the experience.
yeah,
The transportation there is great. Like, listen, it would suck if I lived there, but being able to get off the train take a train to the other train station, take that train station to the other train, and just kind of hang out was great. Like no problem with that.
Yeah.
And then I got to Sheffield, and okay, so one thing, Sheffield has the coolest gym I probably have ever been to. Right, Ultraflex is like
That gym is good,
insane.
right?
That gym is crazy. So it's not
Yeah.
really like the best powerlifting gym, but
Yeah.
the bodybuilding selection
It's
is
awesome.
incredible. It is.
Yeah.
I'm a gym connoisseur as a
I'm
gym owner,
glad you
of
touched on
course.
it. Yeah.
That gym I was just sad. I think you were there literally 2 hours before I got there.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
so
I can't
upset.
believe I didn't get a chance to run into
Dude,
you.
I'm so mad. It would have been so much fun if I was just a little late because I had to like it was hard for me to get a train ticket. I thought it would be easier. But it was like hard for me to get a train ticket. I do everything by the seat of my pants. I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
So I get there and that gym is incredible. So that's an important part. It's like a weird thing. Like I go to a lot of these events.
Yeah.
Having a gym off site from the venue that everyone can kind of go to is an underrated thing. Like American Iron. Did you go to American Iron at
Out there? No, the only gym since being out there that I've gone to it was
No, no,
Ultraflex.
no. No, did you go in Reno? Did you go to American Iron?
Oh, I don't even know the name of the gym. I went to some little small local powerlifting gym. I don't even know.
Okay,
I don't
so in Reno, American Iron is the powerlifting gym. It's the director's gym. And
Okay.
having that,
I probably was there. Yeah.
having that's like something that like is almost like I wouldn't put a event in an area if there wasn't a gym right there. Like that makes everything really good. Like having that place that people could go to and work out if you're not competing. So that was awesome. So I worked out at that gym, and then the next morning I I had the hotel breakfast. I had the British breakfast, which actually wasn't bad. That was one of the good things I had because their bacon is like ham. It's like different, um, and I really liked that. So the event itself. Now, getting in was fine. There was a decent food court near there. I went to first. Um, the gym selection was a bit limited for bench stats. Yes. So yeah, actually, I was at that venue for high school nationals. There's nothing around there, and so but that venue's cheap, so that's why they keep that one. I think my sound's coming through on your end.
I think it's from. I'm getting a bunch of birthday notifications like all day.
Oh,
I
I
don't know
got
if
you.
you're hearing my buzzing. I don't know.
So the event itself, I went there. So I wrote detailed notes because I'm obviously trying to do big production eventually. Once I get funding and stuff. So I took a ton of notes. So things I really
Love
loved
that.
about what do you say?
I said I love that.
Yeah, I took a huge amount of notes regarding. Actually, I don't have my iCloud sync, but I have a huge notes about it. So I walked to the venue. They were selling merch. I wanted to buy a shirt, but um, there weren't enough vendors. I don't think they were ready for the demand, which is good in some respects. But like, I wanted to buy a shirt, and the line was so long, and I was just like, whatever. Um, so that was a little bit like that was something I would make sure if I ran an event, I'd make sure I could people didn't have to wait in line too long for a
I have a
shirt.
question from you from that experience
Yeah.
standpoint. From a sales standpoint, isn't it? And I'm asking, you know more than this. You would know more than I. Isn't it like common business practice where you build up the value and the demand of something so it'll be out demanded, and then in the next event, then you can meet that demand? Isn't that kind of?
No. So I'm sure they had plenty of shirts. It was just that I didn't want to wait in line for 30 minutes to
Oh, for
buy
sure,
one.
for sure, for sure,
That
for
was the
sure. Yeah,
problem. I'm sure they had enough shirts. I'm sure. And for what they're trying to accomplish, from what I perceive that they're trying to accomplish, that they are trying to promote their clothing brand above everything, right? Promoting the clothing brand is the most important part. And so
right.
you would think they would want to sell as many of those as possible because it promotes the event and the clothing brand. So,
How would you have done it?
I just have more people selling shirts, just have more staff
Oh,
to help
okay.
sell the shirts. Yeah, that's it. That wasn't, I don't think that was, but I wanted to buy one, and I was just like, I'm not waiting in probably a 30, 40 person line, which is good in some, like, people wanted to buy the shirt.
Yeah.
It's just, I didn't want to wait.
Yeah.
So the bar set up there, the next thing I'm like concessions, right? When I go to a game, first thing I do, I see what the concessions are like. They didn't have food, it's a theater, so I didn't expect them to have like food because it's a
Yeah.
mess and stuff. But I imagine when they go to the arena, they'll have food and stuff.
Yeah.
The bar there was excellent, 10 out of 10, huge selection. Obviously, that's an essential part of any sport.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 for the bar.
Right.
Got there, got to my seat, good ushers. You got a program on your seat. It was all fine. You got the glow stick. And then I kind of locked in. Me and Susie chatted for a bit. She gave me she told me about the scale thing. She was like, we were gossiping. It was good. It was good time. Sitting next to someone is part of a sport, right? You bring your friend. Like, if me and you went to a baseball game, we're yapping the fuck up.
Oh yeah,
right?
for sure.
We are yapping. When I come to LA, we're going out.
I'm down.
So part of the event, and it actually makes the event even better than it was. So that
Yeah.
was nice. One of the big issues I had no service at my seat, and so that for a powerlifting experience like that, this is where things start to go downhill. Just FYI, things kind of go downhill after that. Everything was probably fine until this point. I had no service. Okay, so it kind of if the event wasn't so long, it'd probably been fine because then I'm like engaged with the event the whole time.
Yeah.
Couple issues are, one, there are no like good scoreboards, right? The scoreboards are just like there's no scoreboard design, right? And so it's really hard to follow. It's like impossible. And I think Steve Denovi said this on Two White Lights. Like, it's impossible if you don't have a phone, you can't follow the event. I had no idea who was coming up next. I had no idea who was winning. It just really, this is where it got bad for me because it kind of ruined the experience. I was like, I just spent a couple $1,000s to come out here, and now I can't even like enjoy this. And so that was great learning for me because now I know what I need to fix, right? Oh my gosh, like holy cow, like it opened my eyes up. I was like, holy cow, I gotta fix this.
Yeah.
So the big things were like, if you go to a sporting event, you want to know, like at a baseball game, who's batting next? Where's the batting order at? Right? Like they could have easily, they have huge LED boards. They could have put the orders. The order is what I need. I need to know who's coming up next, right? Other than that, I didn't know who's winning. Like that kind of helps at a sporting event to know who's winning. Shocker.
Yeah.
So that would have really helped. These are easy things to fix, by the way. With the money they're spending, these should be easy things to fix.
Yeah.
Who's winning is really important. What else would have helped? That's really it. I mean, those two things, just tell me who's winning and tell me who's up next, and I probably would have been okay.
I think that's fair. I mean,
I don't think that's a crazy critique.
No. Like, to be honest, like, okay, first of all, to keep improving and moving the needle forward, like, critique is necessary.
Right.
So the critiques that you have are fair. Like, this is what can be done to further improve the experience and the event. So, like, I agree. Like, yeah, there's one more event there, and so, and in that same year, it'll be moving to a different event. So I really, I'm rooting for this event to make sure that those things do improve, especially going to the bigger event, the bigger venue.
And I don't think, I mean, this regardless of venue, like if the venue had 100 people, you would still want to have who's up next and who's winning, right? Like that's the information I need. I also would have liked, and this is a bigger thing, is I would have liked, if this attempt was good, how much it increases their score by. That would have helped too.
That's crucial.
There's a couple things that like basic, like, and I think you could always do more stats if you wanted.
I think stats, a level of stats, like in terms of an amount of stats provided, is important. Like, you go to Rams games, you go to baseball games, whatever. NFL games,
nothing but data.
It's data up there. Who's up next to bat? What's this person's RBI? Like that stuff's important. I agree.
So if I had unlimited money and I was in control, what I would have done is the two side scoreboards, I would have had those two just be data. And then I would hang a projector over the top, and that would be the live feed and the replay. So that would give me, cause like I was close enough where I could see enough. Like I wasn't too far away.
Yeah.
But then having a big screen, and I would make it a projector screen. I wouldn't do LEDs. Have a big projector screen above that to see the replay. That's what I would do. And that's what I'll plan to do when I do stuff like this.
Yeah. I think it'd be like really important. Like, you know, someone goes to the bat and you're like, this person's, you know, has a 289, you know,
what are their previous PRs? What have they like for example, like it'll say if someone's batted 0 for 3 today, right?
Yeah.
Like it'll say, I think it should say what their previous attempts were, like, and like me and you could literally probably for the next half hour talk this out and fix everything, right?
For sure.
Like dead ass. Like we could literally draw, like I could have a picture and I could draw what I want the scoreboard to look like, and we could probably fix it.
For
so
sure,
much great technology exists nowadays. Like this is not a hard sporting events have been doing it for the past 2 decades. Like But anyway, that was a huge detriment. Not having signal. Obviously, they're moving to a new venue, so that should help with like the data issue. Because I assume that venue is outfitted for signal. Like if you're in a theater and they're doing musicals, you don't need signal, right? Like you're watching the musical. Like my phone's off if I'm watching a concert or a musical. But at a sporting event, there's a lot of downtime. There's a lot of like interaction. Like we're in a social environment. Being on social media and stuff is like important. Like can give me updates if someone get hurt, X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the event starts with one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Okay, the sizzle reel they played at the beginning of the event was like, oh my fucking god! Like I might have wet my pants. Okay, it was one of the most impressive things I've seen in powerlifting. It reminded me of the Bulls have this thing back from when Jordan played, where it's a stampede of bulls running through Chicago, and it like gets your heart like pumping, and like you're like ready to go. And like the Blackhawks have the same thing because the Blackhawks have the Indian head, and it's sewing the Indian head. It's one of the cool things. Just gets you just gets you hyped. And so this video, I'm actually gonna try to pull it up. It's so good. This intro was so good. I'm like, holy cow, this is about to be the greatest thing I've ever seen. Okay.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, everything kind of went downhill from that because the event after that validated a lot of my prior critiques, right? A lot of my what were my critiques before about the event itself? Do you remember? I had talked about this a
lot. Like what you just said now, in terms of the scoreboards and the Wi-Fi, or
so the scoreboards I didn't know were an issue. I had no idea. I actually didn't think about that. The biggest issue is the event is just way too fucking long. It's just so long.
Yeah, but and you know with that, like my question is like, you know, like how much shorter would you want the event to be?
So we have plenty of data to back this up. Most professional sporting events are about 2.5 hours. That's the average time. I want it to be listen, and there's an easy way to do it. It's a 5-hour long event. Cut the event in half. Women on one day, men on the other day. It's really, I don't, now listen, me and Mike Gold me and Future Powerlifting, we talked about why they can't do that. The reason they can't do that is because fewer people are going to watch the women than the men. Okay? And so they can't do that. And I understand that. I thought maybe you could switch lightweights and heavyweights, but then you got to change the prize pool around because it's going to be unfair to one or the other.
Yeah, it changes.
But something okay, so there is an other option. The spotters and loaders were the slowest I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, I don't think that was on purpose. Sorry, I don't think they were told to go fast and didn't go fast. I think they were told to kind of just go at whatever pace they wanted, right? Or whatever. I don't know the logic, but the event itself is way too long. Like they just have that is the biggest issue right now. Like, listen, if you're a powerlifting fan and you flew out there, and it's 5 hours long, big whoop, right? I'm talking about long-term success of the sport. Like, in order to get cash, like my dad would have not liked that, right? He would have been like, this is not fun, right? And so the biggest thing with the event is it just needs to be shorter, right? So the spotters and loaders, so like when I do a 24 lifter meet, it takes about 3 hours. And so my spotters and loaders are moving like lightning. There's less of a walkout for the athlete. That may be something they could fix immediately that would really make the event better, right? Because here's the problem right now. The problem right now is all these people in the powerlifting world are like, this is the best thing ever. This is the best thing ever, blah, 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 blah. And like, yeah, it is the best thing, no question. But it's the only thing, right? So there's no competition. There's nothing to compare it to, right? So, and you're a hardcore powerlifting fan. Of course you love seeing the best athletes in the world, right?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about hardcore power. I know you like it, right?
Yeah.
I get it. I know people who are hardcore like it, but like, in order to expand the sport into a bigger and broader audience, we have to adapt. And so that would be my big thing. And so that kind of segues into the music is way too loud. Like, I'm sorry, like, I don't know if I'm not getting, I've heard this complaint from multiple other people. The music is so loud, it causes physical pain. And like that, it's just, it ruined what could have otherwise been a positive experience.
Yeah.
Right. So everything I mentioned is, I think, A, a valid critique, and B, easily fixable. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think, the length of events and cutting them up may be a little more complicated, but I think everything I mentioned is pretty within bounds. I'm not asking them to redo the sport. I think they could do some really good stuff.
Yeah.
And again, like I've said multiple times, the problem with Sheffield is that we don't have 1,000 of them, right? We don't have 100 Sheffields going on throughout this. That's the problem. We just don't have enough, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's what I would say. Another issue, which is like kind of irrelevant, but maybe, is like when I got out of the venue, like there really wasn't anywhere to eat after, which like it's just a little disappointing. Like, so maybe like, can you go to all the restaurants and say, hey, we've got 2,200 people coming into town. Like, do you want to stay open a little later? Like, I think stuff like that, that's not a valid critique. Stuff like that is, but like that would help. So like,
For sure.
places are open later because like it's a Sunday night, so things are closed because it's Sunday night. So it's like,
if you do that in like Los Angeles, you're gonna
right,
have, like, for instance, where the us Los Angelinos, we still call it the Staples Center, but been renamed to the crypto
right.
arena. But if you go to the Staples Center and then you come out of a Lakers game, you're gonna have, like, Yard House open, and you're gonna have all these restaurants. There's a Fogo de Chao down the street that they stay open until like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So, like, you know what I mean? If you want to eat fancy, you want to eat cheap, there's a Denny's nearby. There's a lot of bars. So yeah, I certainly agree on that.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's something the organizers of the event are never going to experience because they're not doing that after. I think some people went to the casino. Actually, maybe that would have been the move, to go to the casino after.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I want to kind of wrap up on that. Do you want to take 2 minutes to go to the bathroom and then we'll continue the second half?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so we just wrapped up talking about the past. Now let's talk a little about the future coming up here. So the next big event we got is PA Nats.
Yeah.
And I just want to touch briefly, because I want to touch briefly on PA Nats, World Games, and then we can talk more about the future. I just want to touch briefly on those.
Gotcha.
So I was writing like the script we were going to talk about, and I wanted to say PA Nats preview. Is this the biggest Nats ever? And then I realized a lot of the top talent isn't going to be there, right? Waskar's not going to be there. Perk's not going to be there. Russ ain't going to be there. Jesus ain't going to be there. Like, I don't know about the women's side. Like, a lot of people aren't going to be there. So, well, there are going to be. I mean, the 83s, I think that's going to be a bloodbath. 93s, it kind of diminished it a little because I was like, oh, this is going to be really good. And I'm like, I just realized a lot of names aren't really going to be there. So it's basically, we're going to be just gearing up for this 83 battle, right? Like, that's pretty much, I think, all we're going to see.
Yes. So I mean, I actually have I have the roster open on
Yeah,
my
let me open it too.
computer every day, but I'll just go down the list from women's to men's quickly. The notable names. This is not like, oh, Big Body didn't say my name. I'm the disrespect.
Yeah,
This is
guys.
like
Yeah, please. Can we get over that? Like, we
this
don't
is
have so like this. Quick side note.
yeah.
When we do preview shows and people talk about every single fucking weight class and every single fucking lifter, I'm like, no, you don't like. That's not how we talk about sports. We don't have 4 hours to talk about this. Like, we're gonna talk about what's relevant because that's all that people care about anyway.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So if, if I just quickly go through like some totals I see from the names that are current have made a name for themselves over the years, I see Jessica Espinal, Heather Connor, I see Vanessa Pineda, I see Serene Harmony, running through quickly, Natalie Richards. What else? What else? What else? What else? Going through here fast. Meg Scanlon, Angelina Martinez, Big Body
So
Ann, shout out.
Meg's on the roster.
Yeah, she's on the roster.
Oh, is she like just say? Was she just?
She's
Well, so
on the
here,
roster.
so on average, women are more responsible than men. So a lot of women will sign up early. Like, what if something happened at Sheffield?
That's a good point. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
sign up early, save some money. You know,
I mean, it
I
would
don't know.
be incredible somehow if Angela Martinez jumped 60 keys on her total from Junior Worlds to now. And I'm not saying you can't,
You can
and I'm not saying you can't.
when you're 20 years old, that can happen.
That
Like,
could
that's
happen.
not
I'm not saying you
that
can't.
can. Yeah,
Her training's been looking good. Um, let's see here. I'm gonna go to 69s real quick. We have Gabby Martinez, Celine
that'll
Crouch,
be a battle. That's gonna be a
Jackie
battle.
Slater. That's gonna be a good battle. Yep. Okay, we move on. 76s. We got Dana McNeil, Chelsea Savitt, Jasmine Shea is there, Jessica Kinney. Crandon's
Is that
not.
going to be the Crandon's not?
She's not on it, but there's no. I have no information that she's not doing it. She's gonna do it. Typically, she just signs up like
Okay,
closer to.
so here I have a. No one's really talked about this. I think I'll be the first. You're telling me that so there's two Sheffields next year,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, so you're telling me that for Sheffield, so for example, Worlds is in July, right? World Games is in Worlds is in June. World
Worlds is
Games
in
is in
June. Yeah, Worlds
okay,
is in June.
and then
Late June.
World Games is in
August.
August.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that they're going to ask lifters to lift at Worlds and then lift at World Games. I think they're going to take totals from World Games and they're going to apply those to Sheffield.
I would imagine.
Okay? I can't believe they haven't announced this yet, but I think that's how it's going to go. And I don't know why they haven't talked about it yet. I mean, someone needs to ask the question. I mean, you guys of all people should probably be asking, like, are they taking World Games totals towards Sheffield?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Like, is Russ?
I'm sure we'll.
Wait, so you're telling me Russ is going to skip nationals this year? He's going to skip Worlds. That will render him ineligible for Sheffield next year, and then he's going to go to nationals next
Yeah,
year
yeah,
at
yeah. It doesn't
93.
make sense. I gotta imagine that it will be counted, and we'll definitely look into it because everyone needs to know. So
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, for sure. No, I'm with you. Finishing up the women's really quick. Amanda Lawrence, Tiffany Savage, Layla Soto. She's an up and coming.
So why is Amanda going?
I think she's just signed up. I think it's for the same reason as Meg Scanlon.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't make sense. So, but it's Amanda Lawrence, Tiffany Savage, Layla Soto, 84 plus women's, Monica Brown, Nicolette Ziegler is the next one, and then
Okay,
you go
so
to the men's.
84 plus is much more interesting because Alexis Jones is gone. So that may be
Wait, what
more
happened with
interest.
her?
She's just out of powerlifting right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that. Since when was this?
dropped out of Sheffield.
No, yeah, I know that, but I didn't know she's like I'm not powerlifting.
I'm not sure. Okay, so hold on. Let me not speak for her, but she's not on the roster, so
Okay,
like I don't.
got
Yeah.
you, got you. Waskar is on the roster, but he's got to take himself off. Uh, Alex Thelemier, Drew Coffey.
He's
That's pretty much that.
but Waskar's someone who could do it just to
Just to do it.
like SBD and just take
Yeah,
another title.
yeah. You got the 66 battle. It's kind of died down with Brian Lee going out and stuff, but you got Jonathan Garcia, Morgan Aquino, Austin Nikolai. This guy, Avery Jackson, he's coming from USPA. He's actually gonna be he's gonna be competition for sure.
Wait, so
I
Dan
see
Clements is Dan Clements still hurt? Is he?
Dan Clements is still not on the roster. Um, I'll let him speak to what his situation is. You hear things through the grapevines, but I don't know if it's true or
Right.
not. But yeah, so you got about four, 4 in a battle for the 66s. 74s, you got Zachary DiCostanzo, Noah Robinson. I know his training's been going well. Cole Elham, and I'm sure there's going to be more 74s going into it. I got to believe Tony Nguyen's doing it. Oh,
No,
he's
he's not.
doing juniors?
Yeah, I talked to him. He's a member. I talked to
Yeah,
him.
yeah. I see him at
Well,
your gym.
so
Then you
he
got
actually said he was going to do it if Perk did it because he didn't want to. He doesn't want to go and like win and then not win, right? He'd rather he'd rather get beat than like
he'd
like
be a
that.
little bit more
I love that shit. I love that.
respectable,
He's
I
like,
guess.
I'm not
Yeah,
going because I'm not the best. I'm like, good.
yeah. So, uh,
83.
Joseph Bornstein, Sean Noriega, Delaney Wallace, Christopher Perez, Anzo Fortino, Sanjin, uh, Gerald Scott, Sean Jabril. That's like, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 names. That's over an 800 key nominated total. So that's going to be a battle.
Roster is huge now. This
Yeah.
roster is enormous.
93. Yeah, the 83 roster is
There's
insane.
so many.
There's a lot of 83s.
Taylor Atwood
93.
at the bottom.
Yeah. Oh, Taylor Atwood, he's in there with the Taylor Atwood's in there. There's a lot of guys in here. Yeah. So the 93s, you got Gavin Aiden, Brandon Petrie, Jonathan Keiko, Dominic Fuqua, Demetrius Smith, Kyle DeLeon, Jamari Royster, Brandon Jones, Andre Easter, Trey Ricard. So like Jordan McKinley, Ian Messina. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people in here. Lane Norton's in the bottom torn. He's gonna try to get his feet wet in there.
Lane Norton. I love that.
Lane Norton, baby. We go to 105s. You got Anthony McNaughton, Ashton
Oh, wait,
Rooster
hold
says,
on. Ashton can't be doing
yeah,
this.
he's not gonna do it. He's signed up though.
Yeah.
Kevin Paul, I know what's Keenan's coming out.
Yeah. Now that's
Yeah,
saucy. Keenan, Anthony, that's saucy.
that's a good
We
lineup.
need that. We need that because the 105s on the national level on the national team are not like.
Yeah, I'm actually very excited because you get to see Anthony McNaughton and you got Debo's in it.
Bro, these are
Debo's in it.
deep. Every class is deep in terms of sheer number of athletes.
And it's crazy because like you said, like the big dog, there's other big dogs that are still not doing this meet. So
Right.
yeah. And then you go over to the 120s.
Big Dev.
We got Big Dev, we got Reagan Henderson, Tristan Nazarod, Jaden Edwards, Mike Teixeira, Mike T, Big Mike T, Richard Andre. Those are like all names I just said are 900 and above. And I don't know if there's any other 120s that'll be doing it. And then super heavyweights, you got Big Ray Williams, Robert Lazarine. Yeah, those are all that's 900 and above is there. So
Ray gonna spot 1,000 again?
I think he does.
Bro, I heard it direct from someone's mouth that they think Ray is gonna take Jesus's spot.
Why you laugh like that?
It's funny. It's
I'm
funny
not.
as
Hey,
fuck.
look, Big Ray Williams. I'm not laughing at you. That that wasn't me.
No,
Let
I
me
mean,
see. Okay,
listen. That would have that's a crazy fucking story. So
hold
wait, so
on.
he.
Let's just throw out a number real quick. Let's say that what's
Oh
Ray's
no,
best?
let's. Okay, he's got to beat his Sheffield number.
Yeah. So what's Ray's best squat? Like what was it? It was like 1,080 something.
All
So let me
right,
just
hold on. Let me pull up Ray. Oh, he didn't compete in 2025. Hold on. Let's go all years.
let's say 485 squat plus let's say he benches. I'm gonna give him. Let's say he goes crazy and benches 260, and then let's say he deadlifts uh
400.
400. That'd be 1145. So pretty much he would need to be close to his best squat ever. What did his Zeus do at this past Sheffield?
24 and some change. I don't know. I don't speak
Yeah,
kilos, so you gotta know
let
that.
me just divide 2400. 1,088. Okay, so let's say, yeah, I mean, I think that Ray will probably, I'll put like 20 more pounds on top of 1,000. So like I think he'll do like 465 squat. I think if his bench is going really good, I think he'll bench like 250, and I think he'll pull like I'll give him 375. So 375 plus 465. Ah, he could be close. He has to have a day though.
Right.
He has
I
to
think
have a
that
day.
obviously that goes without saying.
Yeah, he has to have a day. So I mean, maybe they see they're not posting all his biggest numbers in training, so maybe he could do it. Maybe he could do it. And I know that would put some fire under Jesus, but I gotta believe though Jesus would have it. That's what you're talking about with the World Games deal. Like I gotta believe he'd be able to answer at World Games. But
Oh, right. That might.
that would be crazy, right? Like let's say Ray hits 1,090 and Jesus puts a historical total, barring he does that, right, at World Games, but he doesn't.
He would be a wild card. They'd put him in as a wild
Yeah,
card.
there's no. If anything, what that would do, you got to do. Okay, first of all, I actually want Ray to do really good because if Ray can get into Sheffield and the old dog is
Right.
still running, and we get to
Right.
see Jesus versus Ray Williams at the next Sheffield, that's a card. We've been wanting to see that on a head up on the same platform forever. So I actually want that to happen. I want Ray to get in and do better. I want him to beat that total.
Right. Interesting. All right. So here, let me go
Excuse
real
me.
quick. I'm just gonna throw it away, class. First name that comes to the top of your head. Who's going to represent Team USA?
Ah, shit.
Here we go. This is rapid fire. We're not spending a lot of time on this because I want to get the world
Okay,
games.
first, just
All right,
who
we're
I
going starting
believe.
with the women. 47.
Espinal. Uh,
You're gonna say Heather?
Espinal. I'm
I
gonna
don't
go. I'm
know.
gonna go Espinal.
I don't know about Heather. Yeah, not Heather. I love Heather, but
I
she's
know that
hurt. I think.
she's working with Kedrick, and I
I
know that
I
they're doing
think
good.
that I think she can, but I think she's hurt. I think that's a lot to come back with. 52. It's gonna be that's easy. Herbert. That's I don't think there's anyone there.
Yeah,
57. Natalie.
yeah.
I'll skip. I'll skip that one for you. 63.
Well, if Scanlon's not gonna be there, oh, who's gonna represent
Yes,
Scanlon?
Scanlon.
Yeah,
All right. Get a little more complicated. 69.
69. I'm gonna go with Celine Crum because she went crazy at SPD
Yeah.
Sheffield, and I don't see any reason like why would she drop off.
And she's still got room.
I think she's hot. Yeah, I think she's hot as in like she's on fire in
All
training.
right. 76, but not cramming.
76, not Cranon. I think Dana McNeil comes back with some fire. I think so. If it's not Cranon,
Right. All right, 84, Amanda.
yeah.
84 plus.
Damn, that's a good one. Damn, that's a good one. I don't have a lot of. I mean, I'm gonna just go with Bonica.
Yeah, maybe there's someone on the USAPL side.
Maybe. I mean, if Alexis Jones ain't here, then I'm gonna go
Right.
with Bonica. Yeah.
Okay. Men's side, let's go 59, Waskar.
Yeah.
66.
I'm going with Austin Nikolai.
Root for the home team. What the fuck?
I'm
What
going
else
with
did
Austin
what did you
Nikolai.
think he
Yeah.
was gonna say?
Yeah. Yeah.
74, not Perk.
74, not Perk. Uh,
Dude,
uh,
that should be tough, bro.
damn. I don't have much information on Zachary DiCostanzo.
He seems like he's
Uh,
head and above.
yeah. Noah Robinson has been, from what I understand, he's close to Zachary's
Okay.
range. But
Let's skip that. Let's skip
I'm
that.
I'm gonna go with Noah Robinson.
All right, baby. The big one, the 83s.
Delaney Wallace. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Bornstein?
Come on.
Bro, Bornstein's at 900 now, and we're fucking months out. We're 2 months out.
I don't think I think it's gonna be more of a battle than thought.
Oh, I think it's gonna be more of a battle because I don't think Bornstein's used to the standard. He had issues at Junior Worlds or Junior Nats before he got hurt.
I'm gonna tell you this: if national standards are very strict, it's gonna change everything. If they're if they're like back end strict, like
Yeah,
tight.
I think as much of a freak as Bornstein is, I think his lifts are too like just I guess aggressive, maybe. They're like not as clean, and I don't think they like that shit.
Yeah, like again, if they're holding you to like the craziest standards, like incredibly crisp, perfect lifting with heavy selections, I think it changes a lot just for all classes.
Right.
If it's more lax lifting, Bornstein's he's I mean, think about it, right? If it's more lax calls, you're gonna be at leverage. You're gonna be at freedom to kind of add a little bit more to your kilos, regardless of who the lifter is.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'm gonna go for my team. I'm gonna go for Delaney.
Right. All right. 93.
I'm going with Kaiko. I'm going
Geico.
with Kaiko or Meat.
Oh yeah. Yo, Meach would be a good sleeper, bro.
Yeah, hey, look, man.
How is Meach in 93, dude? I've seen Meach in person. I don't know how he's like he's not that
He just
big.
yeah, he's 90 keys right now. He just pulled 800
Oh,
yesterday.
okay, yeah. I was like, he's not even close.
Yeah, yeah.
That 800 was a little grindy. Was it a little grindy? I don't remember the end of it.
He might have had 5 more keys. I think they said he pulled 800 sick. Like it was his like peak of the block.
Yeah, I want to pull 800 sick. What the?
Yeah, I want to pull 800 sick too.
All right, 105.
Man, that's tough. Ah, do I have a coin somewhere? Oh, let me flip this real quick. Keenan.
Yeah, that's what I can go with. 120. Bob.
Yeah. 120 plus. I think Ray can do it with Jesus not being there, but man, let me look at this really quick just to make sure. I actually need to know this. Let me look at this real quick. Let me see something really quick. I'm gonna check what the hell did let me just text him real quick. What did you total at Sheffy?
Because it's on open powerlifting. I just said it, didn't I?
Did you? Oh, you said his total?
Hold on, I'm just gonna look it up.
I divided 2,400 and got
It's
1088.
20. His point. Hold on, that's all years. Hold on. 2025. His best was 2452.
2452. So let me do the 2452 divided by 2.2046. No, Ray's gonna have to really have a day. Ray's gonna have to be the best form that he's been since like when he was hot.
Right.
So, because he'll have to be uh
I think he has the PRs total. I think he has the PRs total.
Ray would have to be 11-12, like about 11-12.
Yeah, I think that's. Well, let's look at Ray's. Let's find Ray's PR. His PR is 1436. So yeah, he would have to add 20 pounds to his best total, which he
Yeah,
hit back in 2017. He hasn't hit in 8 years.
that would be another Jones type deal. Well,
Right.
not as much, but like conceptually.
Right. I think it'd be a little easier than Duran's. I mean, the pressure would still be on that third deadlift, but
Right.
interesting. Interesting. All right. So we broke that down. So now there's a bit of a wild card coming in here, and that's World Games. Now, there's been a lot of discussion for a while about what is World Games? Why does it matter? Like, does it matter as much? Is that, I mean, we all know World Games is the minor leagues of the Olympics. Sports go there first, they get tested, and then if they do well or they get lobbied, they put them into the Olympics, right?
Right.
And so, pop quiz. How long has powerlifting been in the World Games?
I'm gonna go ahead and say within the 2000s for sure.
It's been in the World Games for 45 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? 80s?
Yes.
Uh,
Powerlifting has been in the World Games for 45 years. So, what's different this year is that it's raw, right? That's what's being added.
yeah.
And so I do not think that simply changing the equipment lifters wear is going to really change much.
Can I say my opinion on why I think so?
Sure. I mean,
I think so because
you haven't given your opinion at all.
right. Uh, I think that it's gonna be different when you have, like, first of all, Cranion is with Gymshark, and that's an entire other. You think about like conglomeration, right? In terms of like pulling in different markets. So Gymshark and all that is like people that don't know shit about powerlifting, and Gymshark wanted to get into powerlifting. So now you have general fitness bodybuilding, and all those people follow her, who also follow her boyfriend Swole Ricketts. You got Russell Orhe, who has a bunch of like sneakerheads, hype beasts that like Russell's also in other like anime culture, sneakers, fashion. So you got people that are in fashion that don't know shit about powerlifting but are following powerlifting, right?
Right.
Like I know actual models that like go on runways and they support Russ hard. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like and they're
I
with
mean, I have a bunch of people who follow me from
yeah,
different
for
business
sure, for sure.
ventures,
So
like that
and
interact with you.
yeah, 100%. And then you got Jesus Alvarez, who's got more like the there's a lot. The strongman community is aware of Jesus. You know, you had
Right.
Jesus being talked about on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
You know, you had him. So it's like, so there's that. You got Bob Matthews. You know, New York's gonna be rocking with him. You know, there's a bunch of Bob Matthews fans. I'm a Bob Matthews fan. You got you got all these great lifters. You got London and everyone coming with for Jones. You got Ina. You got then there's another side of just like the Nigerian Pride, and you got some strong Nigerian lifters that will be there.
Okay, so
You have
so here,
so
I mean,
pretty much the
let's
whole
talk about what we're
dynamic.
talking about.
The whole dynamic of all that is like,
Okay,
I
hold
think
on. I got to interrupt here. All those people were at Worlds. How is World Games going to be different?
because I think that with it being in China, and I think that with it being on YouTube, and now the difference was that I think World Games viewership actually was pretty big. I think this past Worlds last year, 2024, I think was pretty big. I think if anything,
Wait,
it
wait,
grew.
wait. World Games or IPF
Sorry,
Worlds?
IPF
So
Worlds
IPF World's viewership is down significantly because
from
it's not on the Olympic channel.
the
Yeah,
last one.
viewership is down like 10x. The reason it blew up is because it was on the Olympic channel,
So
and the Olympic
what is
channel had a
this?
baked-in audience. I
Is
mean,
it this an
I'll pull it up
associate?
right now for you.
No, I'm not refuting. I'm saying, isn't World Games a affiliate of the Olympics?
Yeah. Here's what I'll say. So I mean, I'm not a big YouTube guy. I don't think these events should be on YouTube. No, what other major sport is on YouTube? The highlights are on YouTube, sure. No sports are live on YouTube. That's weird. I don't like that. I think it's strange.
I'm curious to see how World Games viewership did on CBS.
Well, I'm gonna go look at.
Or
Oh, you're talking about Worlds of
IPF Worlds, I
Replay?
mean.
Okay.
IPF Worlds, yeah. Did
Okay.
you look at those stats?
We've all okay. I Positioning of your product matters. So what the the world's people aren't so hold on. The benefit of having this stuff on CBS Sports is that someone's watching CBS Sports, right? And then they're watching some event. And then the next event up is the powerlifting, right? The problem is it's not ESPN. It's different. It's not a channel people frequently watch,
Uh-huh.
right? If you told me that it was on ESPN and it was on after Sports Center just to fill airtime, I'd be all in, right? Because people watch ESPN casually. People do not watch. When's the last time you watched CBS Sports Network?
Football.
You're a huge sports fan. What? No, CBS Sports Network?
CBS Sports Network. No, I thought you said when have I been on
No.
CBS?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but listen, if it was on CBS, we'd be jumping from the rafters, right? CBS has massive distribution, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't think people understand. Like, I think we have a failure to share what our goals are, right? Like, what's the goal so I knew about the CBS Sports deal way before because it had been talked about because I had been working on a DraftKings deal, and one of the reasons the DraftKings deal didn't go through is because they were working on a deal with CBS Sports, and I didn't really know a lot about really anything at this point. So I was like, oh, powerlifting's blowing up. We're going on CBS Sports, blah blah blah, and then you turns out you learn that they bought the airtime, right? They're paying CBS Sports to broadcast. And that would be fine if CBS Sports was also doing the broadcast. Because typically what happens is you you sell your rights and ESPN does the broadcast for you. I think we lost him.
Go ahead.
Welcome back. Yeah, I mean, I just I think this is like we're talking about being on CBS Sports and being on TV. What are the
Right.
advantages of doing it? So I think the problem is it just wasn't big enough. What I would have done is I would have bought the airtime on CBS,
Uh-huh.
not CBS Sports. I would have bought one day in prime time, and I would have bought 2 hours, and I would have put all the best athletes on in the same couple flights, and I really would have showcased the sport. But like Sheffield's the event you want on CBS Sports, not fucking not IPF Worlds. IPF Worlds is not watchable the way that Sheffield is.
Yeah.
I mean, so anyway, I mean, obviously, I have a different plan for the sport. I have a different vision for the sport. I don't like any of the stuff that's currently going on, with the exception of parts of Sheffield. I don't like it. I'm 100% transparent. Worlds is boring. I think it's boring. I think it has some good moments, but I think it could be 100 times better.
Yeah. So my whole thing is just I think that we are gaining traction and we are slowly heading in the direction that we want to. It's happening slower than we would want, but it's happening. And I think that we have enough stars on that stage. And I think what's the difference is that, like, with Equipped, you didn't have your. I think the percentage amount of big names on the World Games stage is gonna be exponentially larger than what was in the past. Like Agata has done a World Games before. Uh, I know that there's been a couple names there. I'm seeing their faces. I can't pull their names up right now, but now you're talking about all the classic lifting stars there. Agata's bigger now.
Right.
I think we're coming back with just a little bit bigger scale of product of lifters that will be on that stage. Um, and you have like for instance, Gymshark and these big companies, they like that's marketing for them. So you'll be in China, right? And China will be seeing a Gymshark athlete compete, or I gotta imagine SBD is gonna be utilizing that to their advantage as well, with athletes being in SBD. So this is marketing for brands, and there's gonna be Chinese brands there, and there's a lot. They're big on business, obviously, right? So I just think that I think it's gonna move the needle forward. How aggressively or how big that impact will be, I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't think it's going to be like everything changed from this moment on, but I think it's going to be like, all right, this was better. This is we're still taking steps forward. That's kind of my conservative thought process on how the outcome of World Games is going to be. I think also you got to imagine, right? Like if Jesus could have hit some big number, like what if Agata did something crazy, like if she does 63, right? What if somehow, or she weighs in at 65 keys? What if she benches like 350 at 65 keys, right? 350 pounds, so 160 kg. If she does that, what if she benches something stupid and
So
like puts up this huge
we've
total?
talked about this before. It has to be one of the heavyweights. I agree that some of these things will help, but it has to be one of the heavyweights. It has to be
Yeah,
Jesus, or it
if
has to
Jesus
be.
deadlifts like if Jesus somehow squats or he squats up big, or if he pulls like 1,000, or if he pulls 950 or 930, you
I just
know,
don't. I just don't. I mean, is this going to be on World Games? Is going to be on YouTube? I don't think that helps. Like, I think
uh, I
we've got to get the sport away from being a sport about records, and we have to get it to a sport about competition, right? How about a good battle? Like a good battle might
well,
help.
you're gonna have Bob, you're gonna have Russ, you're gonna have Shell's doing it, right? I'm pretty sure Shell's doing it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, everyone except Perk, which
Yeah,
is somehow
yeah.
a
So I
but
think the battle's gonna be between like Shell, Bob, Russ, because it's on GL. So I mean, I'm not gonna take Count Jurgens out. Ina's in there, but the higher favorites, I would say, in my opinion, would be like Shell, Bob, or Russ. Um, I think they're gonna put. I mean, if Bob does something crazy, right? Like if Bob does like I don't know, if Bob squats 850, if he pulls like 900 on the World Game stage, that would be. He could be one of the lightest. I think he could be one of the lightest lifters to pull 900 one day.
yeah, but that's going to be cool between us. That's not going to expand the sport out into.
I don't know. We gotta see. We gotta see. I think if you, because here's the thing too. The aesthetics of the visual of the moment. If it's done, you gotta think, right. If you're in a stadium in China, and everyone's screaming, and those stadiums in China, man, they do it good. Um, if the moment, everything's gotta line up, and I think it can. I don't think it's like that crazy to say like, if you look at those visuals in Alabama when the World Games was there, which I don't even know why we chose Alabama of all the places to put the World Games. I guess,
It's all
I
money.
guess,
It's all money.
but um,
So real quick, I'll explain. Sometimes you're like,
I want to
Patrick,
ask,
why
I
are
want to
events
ask you
in
something
why
about
are
that.
events in weird places? Why are they in weird areas?
Yeah, the cost ratios.
So a 5,000 person festival will generate roughly $1 million in economic impact to a given area.
Yeah,
So imagine so for example, like Formula One, when Formula One came to Texas,
yeah,
Austin paid them $45 million to
that's
come
great.
there. It's
That's
all about when the UFC goes to Abu Dhabi, they get $30 million in what are called site fees from the nation
yeah,
because it boosts their economy. So a
for
lot of
sure.
times when you see events in weird places, it's all about the money.
Okay, so by that you're saying that the state or a city in Alabama paid them
Yeah,
to
so
build
here's
the.
how it works. So typically an organization like this puts out bids, right? They make a call for bids. Hey, bid on the Olympics, right? This is a great example. Do you want the Olympics in your city? Put together a proposal. Tell us what you're going to offer us, right?
Right.
And whoever has the best offer typically wins. And then, so sometimes those offers include paying the organizations to come out. And so the World Games, Birmingham probably needed to boost tourism, so they decided that they were going to bring this international thing to Birmingham to help boost their economy. Typically, they will hopefully spend less money than it gives in economic impact. It's a very typical thing. It's
Would you
not
say that's the same case for Chemnitz, Germany for IPF Worlds 2025?
when we're talking about the IPF, it's all about that.
Okay.
All about that. What are we
So
getting? Why are we going to fucking Malta? Why are we going here? It's all, dude, and it's good. It's not bad. This isn't bad. This isn't corrupt stuff. It's
yeah,
whoever's going to give us the best package is where we're going to go, right?
yeah.
So yeah, we typically work with like convention, or like we'll work with convention and visitors bureaus to try and do stuff like that.
Okay.
Um,
That's good. I appreciate you explaining that context. That helps me and a lot of other people wondering why.
Right, like a lot of times you're like, why do I have to stay in the IPF hotel? Well, typically the venue is free if a certain number of people stay in the hotel. It's all economics. It's either you're going to pay more for the hotel or you're going
Yeah.
to double your entry fee, right? And you're paying for it no matter what. This is a pay to play sport. Like there's no like you're either going to pay for it by having to stay at the hotel or you're going to pay for it, like I said, with higher entry fee.
Got you.
So
So so all in all, I am more I am more optimistic. I think that we've never had this type of product that will have been on a world game stage for powerlifting until now. And that alone tells you a lot, right? Like, okay, look, it's growing. You got this is positive movement. So I just think that with the brands that are already currently invested with these athletes and the eyes that will be on this, I do agree with it being on YouTube. Like, we do need it to be on a more, I don't know,
ESPN. No,
I don't want to say mainstream because YouTube is mainstream, but not at the level that like it would be
so
on another stream service.
the reason you want to be on something like ESPN is because what does ESPN talk about all day?
I don't understand why wouldn't ESPN put the World Games on ESPN too?
Because more people are going to watch something else. I don't think you realize how
How do we
few
know
people
that
actually
though?
watch these events. Because
Huh?
very few people watch these events. More people watch other, even less viewable sports.
Bro, I've seen you got I don't know. I mean, poker is gambling. First of all, gambling is enticing, right? And it catches attention.
Hold on, hold
But
on. I'm going to get you numbers on poker because I love the World Series of Poker.
all I'm saying is you have sports like flag football. Have you ever watched flag football in the World Games?
No,
It was very entertaining.
that's flag football.
Yeah, but I don't know. They made it to the Olympics. I think I'm just saying that I feel like it's very compelling to see. natural lifters lift incredible amounts of weight. I
I
think the problem is it goes back to what you're saying. We don't do a good job of 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 showing the people like this is what's happening. Like here's the stakes. This person just benched and put them in line and put them in front by this many keys, right? And I think also we need a better way of quantifying like shit about powerlifting would be that much more their attention would be grasped. So
so
I think that's also one of the things that's a limiting factor for us is that we're not doing a good enough job of conceptualizing and making it easily digestible for people that don't know shit about powerlifting. Look what's happening. There's a close battle here happening. This person at this body weight is lifting this. This person has like a 90% attempt hit rate, like hitting lifts. You know, so if someone has like a night, like if Keiko, right? If Keiko's like he's never missed a bench in his career, right? That's like a crazy stat to be aware of. So it
yeah.
could create suspense during bench of he's taking a world record bench, like
All right,
oh
hold on.
man,
I
500
gotta
kilos.
stop you. I
You
gotta
know?
stop you. Listen,
Go ahead.
people give me their ideas all the time, all the time, and very rarely are they bad ideas. Like that idea you just had, where it's like, "Hey, give me more stats and stuff." Great idea. Perfect. What are we going to use it once a year when he competes?
When Keiko competes,
He's going to compete one time this year. If he wins, it'll be twice. Okay?
I think it's
It
the
doesn't matter. I don't think anyone understands. We do not have enough events to even think about this
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, I agree. But I think
Oh, hold on.
with those,
I got a stat for you real quick. I don't want to.
yeah,
Okay.
go ahead, go ahead.
So Sheffield averaged 30,000 viewers. The World Series of Poker main event averaged
You
615,000
talking live?
live viewers, 20,000 more. Yeah, 20 times more. World Series
They
of
did
Poker.
how many?
So
Poker did what?
615,000,
Okay, and we did 30K.
30,000.
What did World Games do when it was on the Olympic channel?
The World Games, last
Oh,
time World Games
sorry,
was
IPF Worlds.
way less. Sheffield's the most viewed by far.
Oh,
Live.
really?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Significantly. Oh, like, dude. Okay. There's multiple reasons. One, it's on the Worlds is on during the morning during the week. Okay, people are at work.
Yeah,
Okay, that's one. Two, it's not all the best lifters, right? It's usually like, for example, it's two 83s and then 10 other 83s that aren't in contention, right?
yeah.
Sheffield is far and away the most viewed live thing. I think Worlds had like, let's go look. We need. I'm sure someone has this data. I would love to get it. 2024, right? So here, total views kind of gives you a. Okay, so for example, Sheffield had like 380,000 total views. That's different than average views is what matters.
Uh,
So the okay in 2024, the women's 76 and men's 105 kilogram session did 112,000 views.
uh,
Keep in mind, a lot of these can come post.
you read that comment there, Jane Nielsen?
In Europe, IPF Worlds is aired at 8 p.m. on Eurosport with a couple 100,000 average, I think.
Yeah,
Still
powerlifting
one
definitely does a
sixth
lot
of
better
the
on Eurosport.
it's still 1/6 of the World Series of Poker main event. So
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
listen, that's a lot better. But also remember that Eurosport has a baked-in audience. I'd love to dive into those numbers a little
What do you
more.
mean? What do you mean by that? They have a baked-in audience.
So, for example, when I watch First Take with Stephen A. Smith, and then I'm usually watching that, and then badminton comes on after, that audience is already baked in, right? Those people weren't going to watch badminton; they were just there from the previous thing. So
Yeah,
that's an advantage to being on that type of a broadcast, but I'd really have to learn more about those numbers. But again, they're still paying for the airtime, so it really doesn't like.
yeah.
Sorry. let's segue because I do want to talk about this topic. I think it's good for us as a community to kind of come up with some agreed upon goals, right? So like what do we want? Like what are our goals? Like when can we say, hey, we're successful? When can we say we're a major sport? And I think one of the big things for me is when CBS Sports comes to us and says, hey, we want to buy your TV rights, that's that's where we want to be. And no, if someone gives us $1,000 and wants to buy our TV rights,
Yeah,
that's $1,000 more than we're making now.
yeah,
So I think it's probably good to talk about what kind of metrics we want to use to determine success. Because I'm interested in this too. Like when I look back on the things I'm trying to do, when will I say it's a success? So for me, like my big thing is like I want to make an athlete a millionaire. I want to pay one athlete $1 million a year, right?
yeah.
So in order to do that, to pay one athlete, actually here, let's say the average is $1 million a year. I think that's a little bit more ambitious. I think the average team size is going to be between 4 and 6 athletes. Let's say there's 8 teams in a league. That's 32 athletes times a million. That's $32 million. So that means that if athletes get half the revenue, that means the league has to generate $64 million in revenue. That's combined between ticketing and viewership. So I don't want to get in too much into the math, but in order to how do we generate $64 million in revenue over the course of X number of events? And so like that's really what we need to work on is how do we generate as much revenue as possible, right?
I think one of the limiting factors too is that, you know, with business, like pure business sense, very rarely does it make sense to spend more than what you bring in, unless long term you see statistically or somehow you're willing to take a chance that over time we're going to even out and then build it to where now we're profiting. Um, and I think because of that, like with the things that
So
they,
hold on, I want to interject as the business owner here. Um, you it's okay to take a loss on paper, like what Amazon. So Amazon was taking a loss on paper for
yeah,
like 20 years. The
yeah,
reason
yeah,
they were taking a loss on paper is because they were growing and they took on debt to accomplish that, right?
right,
They knew on paper they were making money. They
right.
were just choosing to take on a bunch of debt to keep growing. And so that's different than just intentionally taking a loss,
Well,
right? Which is what we're doing right now.
right, but what I was speaking more so like in the context of like SBD has the funds to afford to take the loss because they're obviously still overall taking in a profit and they're investing in something that they're working to grow. Like SBD knee sleeves, equipment, shirts, singlets, stuff like that. They're obviously it wouldn't make any sense that you're able to fund this big of an event for the sport if like how could the business continue to run and they have their whole headquarters, which is the big building where they do all their business out of, right? And they're shipping out worldwide. Like you couldn't numerically get that done if they weren't profiting on the SBD end. So what I'm
Oh, yeah,
saying,
yeah, yeah, right.
so so
Yeah.
so 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 that's what I'm saying is that now you're willing to take a loss for a couple years, but it is growing, right? Because that's how they're able to invest into this bigger venue. Did I lose you?
Well, I mean,
Oh,
one of the more impressive things about them moving into that bigger venue is when you get to a point in business where you can drop something and it sells out immediately, you now have like
you had
you
the
have
band.
like you have a FOMO. We have demand, but you also have FOMO, which is very powerful. People don't want to
It's
miss out.
yeah,
So
very
next
important.
time when
Great
they
point.
go to release those tickets, you
Yeah,
bet everyone's gonna be like there, ready to buy them,
yeah.
right?
So with that being said, we see forward steps being taken because now it's going to be very interesting. This next Sheffield needs to continue to build off of its prior performances. And you could even argue that there's FOMO and greater demand. And we could say that this last Sheffield might have not been the most compelling one. It probably wasn't the most exciting one, right? But it's still exciting. The hype's still growing. Do you get what I'm saying? Like if you look at like,
So here,
huh?
let me ask you a question.
Yeah,
If you were really hungry, right,
uh-huh.
and you didn't have any food at home, and you wanted to eat, and there was only one restaurant in town, where would you have to eat?
I see where you're going with it. The
There's nothing else, of course.
I see where you're going, but
There's
that's not
nothing.
my
There's literally nothing. Like no one's
for
going to
now.
World for 6 days.
For
Like
now. But my point that I'm
right,
making is that getting back to like the sport growing, will World Games have an effect? What I'm saying is that, and I'm getting to the point of like viewership, and so this kind of prefaces. I'm glad I have the memory that I have to connect all the dots, um, which is it takes time to get that to that level, and now we're seeing after 3 years, and it'll be now after 4 years. It's gonna be very good to see how many people buy out tickets in that larger venue. That's gonna be that's
right.
gonna tell us a lot. We're gonna really need to see what happens there. So in saying that, um, oftentimes when you do business investments, you only do it most of the time. It makes sense if you're gonna profit. And the only time that you make a business investment and you're going to take a loss is long term with something like this that we're talking about, where you see it has the potential to profit. Like when what's his name? Amazon former
Jeff Bezos. Yeah.
when Bezos hit up a bunch of investors and said, "Look, I want to need you guys to invest in this, but you're not going to make shit for the next 3 to 5 years." But after that, you're going to have your royalties and guaranteed that I'm going to be paying you guys back. You're going to make more than what you invested. It's going to take time to get there, right?
Well,
So you
so
only do deals like that unless you can prove, that, hey, this makes good sense to take a chance on. It's probably not a chance. You're probably going to make some money out here. It's just going to take a little longer. So I'm saying all that to say that that notion there, I relate that back to the viewership with YouTube and why we're on YouTube, because obviously it's free to be on YouTube and air stuff, right? YouTube gets paid for that viewership and all that. And I don't see any, right now, we don't have any rich billionaire or group of millionaires that has an amount of $1 billion that is willing. Their eyes haven't seen this yet. And again, it only takes one rich billionaire to be like, I see potential with Russell Orhe. I see potential with Perk and Bob. I see potential with what's it called? Uh I don't know why I'm drawing a blank now. But all these
So
but the
listen,
Cranon.
the first
Cranon's
time I saw the viewership potential of powerlifting, no one was there. It was at college nationals. I saw it. I saw the excitement of the
yeah.
crowd. I saw the USAPL had all those LED boards. I was like, I saw the teams, I saw it, and
Yeah.
then we just haven't been able to fucking do it, man.
I think that we need a little bit more young stars in the game. We need a couple more Cranons, a couple more Russes, and then we need a rich billionaire
Hold
to
on,
see it.
hold on.
You know what I
Okay,
mean?
I think we're all driving past the point. The point I make is honestly, I'm a big team powerlifting guy. The biggest problem is we just don't have enough events. We have no events. We have
I agree.
one
I
event.
agree.
Like you just have to compete more often.
Without
It's
frequency, it's gonna be hard to get
irrelevant.
that site to who needs to see it. 100%. I
Correct.
agree.
We don't need new stars. We have some of the best. I literally, there's not one person. Yes, better.
I
Well, we don't
I,
even need better events. Sheffield's okay. We need more events.
I
We need
think new
literally
stars.
every weekend. I need to be seeing some shit on my
I
TV.
think new stars. Not necessarily where I'm going at. New, maybe new, but more so more. More meaning, if you have
Who's
more
Gorilla
talent,
Diesel? I'm gonna hit Gorilla Diesel with a follow.
if you hit, if you have more talent, you'll have more product to fund those events. Product me being the lifters, because those lifters, they do present a product, right? They are essentially, in a way, you could view them. They're human beings, but they also are like a product of
Right. I
powerlifting.
mean, again, we
So
have great stars. We just need to see them more often. We get to Jesus is going to compete what one time this year
right,
or twice? Worlds and World Games. Yeah.
if you had three Jesuses, right, and let's say each of those Jesuses could compete at maximum capacity twice a year, you would have 6 events of big dogs doing some crazy shit, right? So now if you have the same, if I don't know how that wouldn't work, right? If you had 3 Kaikos, 3 Russes, if you had 3 Bobs, if you had I could go on and on and on. 3 Borensteins. Imagine there's 2 more Borensteins,
Okay,
right?
so remember, if you have multiple athletes in the same weight class, the appeal goes away because one of them will be better than the other. And if they are both neck and neck, they're going to want to face off.
Yeah, but then there's a format to doing that because you could have them dominate in their uprisings where it leads up to a big final event at the end of the year. So that's how you could create more frequency healthily and create a format where it actually works. That's kind of always been my thing. Like I know how the vision that you have, but like pretty much your vision, in my opinion, is like it's gonna work, but it will just need to be slightly tweaked. Not saying it won't work. There's just going to be a little differently how you see it. But I think ultimately it is you start with multiple events
So
and
here,
it builds up.
I want to say this. So my vision is built off what I feel like is a logical thing. I don't
Mhm.
feel like it's I don't feel like a lot of it's really my opinion. Honestly, I think it's basically what I'm seeing is I'm seeing problems and then I'm diagnosing those problems, right? I'm the first person to say if I'm wrong, that's fine. But I think most people have pretty much at this point. There's a couple people who think I'm crazy still, but like most people have bought into. We're going to have a 9-month off season, then we're going to have a 3-month competitive season, and then we're going to have playoffs, and we're going to be done. Now,
No, I don't
we're
think
not
that's
just going to jump right to that. We're going
what
to
the
do like a 4-week season first, and then
no, but what I'm saying is like if you want to see maximum capacity lifting,
I don't.
then the natural human body
That's not
has
even
like
possible. I don't because I know it's
yeah,
not possible. I
yeah.
don't want to see that.
So what I'm saying is
I
if
want to see
you had
maximum competition.
but you have to be you have to be at your best to compete like for instance
No, you
if
have to
someone
beat your
that's not
opposition. You have to be better than your opponent.
but but this is what I'm saying if someone at their best and someone is not at their best because they're tanked from the prior competition that was just a couple 2 months ago where they gave their all, then you're not going to have that level of competition you're looking for. So in order to space that
Okay,
out,
so here, let me explain exactly what I'm proposing. Okay,
yeah, go
what
ahead.
I'm proposing is this is the end game. Obviously, there's a couple steps we'll need to take in between, but the end game is we're going to have yes, exactly that's sports. We're going to have 8 teams, right? 8 teams. They're each going to play each other one time. So they're going to be 4 weeks. They're going to compete each weekend for 4 weeks. Okay, everyone's going to be on the same playing field. Then in week 5, the best 4 teams will go to the playoffs, right? And then you're going to have 2 teams. These 2 teams face off, and then in week 6 you'll have the championship. That's what I've always proposed.
That so
And so
it kind of has to be formatted like in a way with baseball pitchers, the way that I currently see it. Do you get what I'm saying with that? For instance,
no. We're not rotating. We're changing the way things work. So how it works now is you peak for 12 weeks, you compete, you peak for 12 weeks, you compete, you peak for 12 weeks, compete. We're not doing that because it doesn't give athletes the opportunity to get better. What we're doing is you're going to go into an off season for 9 months. You're going to get better. Then you're going to enter a peaking block. Then you're going to compete every week for 6 weeks if you make the playoffs, and then you're going to go back into an off season.
but how can how is I don't see from a coaching standpoint how that's possible. Critiquing this idea, right? If I like, how am I supposed to, as an athlete, give my best this week and then give my best again the next 3 weeks?
You're not. That's part of the strategy. Your goal is not to lift as much as possible. Your goal is to win. And so you're going to have to be more strategic to
So,
do that.
well, we need more details to this format then.
I have it all written down. I mean, it's not like
Do you want to? You don't want to go through it? I want to.
I basically broke it down for you.
Yeah, but
Like,
I'm saying like, how can that be? I still don't have enough details to know how do we compete. How do you're telling me I got to compete 9 attempts every week for 4 weeks. So how does that structure, how do you make that make sense where we can make it competitive? Am I only, is it who's their best at 70% capacity, 80%
Okay,
this
so
week, 90, and then 100
so
at the end?
there theoretically, I've shrunk how big I think the team should be. You have two teams of four, right? They compete against each other. The top three score by GL. So you take the top three GL scores, you add them together. Whoever has the most wins. Okay, that's week one. Week two, same thing. Two different teams, and then you switch the teams up. Two different teams face each other. Not the athletes all stay the same. Then you compete again. Then the next week you compete again. The next week you compete again. Typically, that last week you're vying for who's going to make the playoffs, right? You make the playoffs, and then you face off. Whoever loses is eliminated. The next teams move to the semifinals. They face off against each other. The winners go to the championship. You have one big championship, right? And is it completely different than anything that's ever been done? Absolutely. But it's supposed to be different because the current situation is not working.
Okay, so let me ask this. Those first two teams, they compete in that week one, right?
Well, there'll
Out
be
of
four different matchups that
right,
week.
right. That first team competes in that week one. When is the next time those two teams compete again?
They won't during the season.
No, but I'm asking, when do they compete again?
Oh, the next
So
week.
they could.
The next week. It's just like it's the same structure as the NFL. You play the next week.
So that's the question. How can they do How can they do that? Those same lifters are competing the next week. They just
It
gave their
happens. It
all.
happens all the time. NAPF and Raleigh, we have plenty of data. The average GL drop off is like 0.5.
Okay, and so now they've done 2 meets in a row in 2 weeks,
Yep.
and then they compete a third week
Mm-hmm.
in a row.
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. It's not supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be anything like what we're currently doing. What we're currently doing is not working. It's not good. Now, here's what's going to have to change. Are athletes going to be doing typical peaking during the week? No, it's going to be just
You
like
want to know
any other sport.
something? You want to know
Yeah.
something? This is the only way that I see that
Of
happen.
course, of
Is
course. I've
we
said
talk,
that multiple times. I agree
that
with you.
that if you're
I agree
saying
with you.
if you want that to happen for free, it's not happening. But
Of course.
if this is
Absolutely
right,
not. Not
yeah,
one time. Never. Okay, but
yeah,
here's the thing. The only way to get that is to do that. So it's chicken and egg.
that's gonna be hard, bro.
Of course it is. But here's the thing. Professional sports is not easy. It's not for everyone.
I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know who wants to sacrifice themselves like that.
$120,000 a year?
No, but they have to do it for free.
I'm not asking them to do it for free. What are you talking about?
If you're asking them to compete at that rate, they gotta make some money.
Yeah.
And if they're
I mean,
making
it's not going to be so I will tell you this. So off the bat, it's going to be so the next step for me is we're going to do a 4 week thing. It's going to be a small thing. But athletes will still, I mean, each athlete probably makes like, if you do it right, and I get all the funding now, each athlete will make about 10K for those 4 weeks, plus all their travel covered, all that. They won't have any expenses. It'll be 10K, and then they will also get a what's called a safe investment. Safe is called a simple agreement for future equity. So basically, they will get paid, and then they'll also get future ownership. So when eventually we sell, they will get money when we sell, because obviously it's a startup. There's nothing, no one's making any money on a startup. They'll get cash, and they'll also get equity. So they'll get stock basically. It's like if you were a first employee at Facebook, you got stock because the company wasn't worth anything. It's the same jam.
when are you
So it could.
planning to do this?
What'd you say? We'll probably do some sort of pilot event middle of this year, but it'll be like a local thing. It'll just be to test everything, and then we'll probably launch sometime next year, depending on what I decide to do. Um, it all depends on what kind of level of investment we can get, or how much I'm willing to spend myself.
This is what will happen. If the money is right, it can happen. And if it can happen, then it'll change the way that coaches have to format
So
programming.
I'll tell you this. I'm building this whole thing in public, so I'll tell you the biggest issue that I'm actually dealing with right now that I'm working on is the broadcast itself. So people watch powerlifting, and powerlifting streams have come a long way, but the current streams are not good, right? Even like, okay, I know you guys love Sheffield. The stream is not, compared to like any other sport, is not good, right? And so and listen, I've never ran a really good stream either. But to find something that is not $50,000 to do a really good broadcast is the most difficult part right now,
Mm.
because the most important part of all this is showing people the broadcast. And so to make like a good broadcast with good announcers, we have no good announcers in powerlifting. We need good announcers. We need good cameras. We need instant replay. We need slow-mo replay. We need, like, it's all got to be reliable. It's got to be on good networks. It needs so many things. That's my biggest thing right now. I'll figure it out. I figured out, listen, the gym is much more expensive and much bigger and much more moving pieces than any of this stuff right now. Like, I've solved those problems. I will solve these problems. Like, these problems they're more difficult because I don't have a huge customer base like I do with the gym, but I will solve these problems. Like, I've dealt with this my entire career.
Yeah.
Like, this is not like,
The biggest thing it just comes down to again is no one's gonna put their bodies through some crazy shit for free. Obviously, if
no,
they're gonna be
and listen, I would never, like, get that out of your mind.
no, I'm
Like,
not saying
everyone is getting, so
I'm
listen,
not
this is,
saying that you are. I'm saying initially a couple minutes ago when you said that like the chicken and the egg or whatever deal where you're saying like for instance, I had to work as a coach for free before I could prove my ability to coach. And then once I proved that ability,
okay,
then I
well, hold
started
on. Let me pause you here. Okay. The largest prize in powerlifting is 25,000 pounds at Sheffield. I'm proposing to pay athletes the equivalent of the second place prize just to show up. I'm not asking them to like go crazy. They need to
No,
show
yeah,
up four
I
times.
the
You show
point
up four times, you make the second place prize money, and you get future equity. So you get that
yes,
money and you get more money later.
yes, Sebastian, what I didn't get to finish my point.
Yeah.
Initially I thought when you said chicken and egg that it was more relating to like you gotta try and do it for free first before we can but you're proposing
No, that's
something.
where the investment comes in, because
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
investment is the chicken
Yeah, yeah.
that gets to the. I can see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'm understanding that you're saying to start it out, you are offering compensation that makes sense. So when I look at if I look at one of my athletes and I'm like, hey, there's this league, they're starting up, they're piloting right now. It's 10K for 4 weeks. You're gonna have to compete.
Yeah,
And then,
that 10K number is probably only for like only the top athletes would make that. There would
so
be,
so so
yeah.
so explain that format to me, if you will. Explain like you have explain the tier compensation. Could you do that, or you don't
So
want to do that right
everything's negotiable, right? So what we would do is we would go to you and we would say, I think travel expenses, bare minimum. We'd cover most athletes' travel expenses for sure. That's like bare minimum. I have a lot of that organized. Like, I have like like we're gonna rent sprinter vans and we'll transport the athletes and we'll pay for their hotels and we'll pay for all their stuff and whatnot. Um, and then we will negotiate two things. There's cash compensation, which is we give you money, and then there is equity, which is when we eventually sell the league or we bring in outside investors who fund the league, they will then get basically a certain number of shares based on that. So we'll negotiate two things. Now, cash is best because you get it right now, right? And it's
now?
guaranteed. Equity is also good because in the future, if you own 1% of the UFC, right, you're sitting pretty, right?
Yeah,
So what we do is we would give you equity, and that's more risky, but it's also more reward. But for us, we don't have a ton of, we can't spend a lot of capital because we're not making a lot of capital, right? The making of the capital will come later on.
yeah, yeah,
So that's what we would discuss with any athlete. And we would say, so like someone like Jesus and Russ, they would get hundreds of thousands of dollars in equity, right? Whereas like someone who's like fresher, like someone like Austin would probably get his travel covered and he'd probably get like $1,000. And then like he would still have a great time in his uniform and stuff, and it would still
Got
be good.
you. So you have tiered
So
levels of
yeah,
compensation,
so
and it's all based
how it
on
typically works,
negotiation.
if you pay attention to NFL free agency, typically the best athlete will set the market. And so for me, the best athlete is probably either Russ or, and this is not on paper, this is in terms of our valuation, is either Russ or Jesus. I actually think Jesus is probably the most valuable athlete. I think Jesus we would pay the most because he's the most watchable. He's
Yeah.
also super talented. It's probably him. It's probably then Russ. It's probably then Perk, and then it's probably Bob. Like those four. Those like Jesus and Russ because of their platforms are probably twice as valuable as Perk and Bob would be. I would imagine. Even though Perk is better than all of them, the market value of that platform plus the market value of being the strongest person on earth in powerlifting is also important.
Um. Yeah. I think that I think it can work. I think when I hear a little bit more details, I think it can work. And I mean the thing about this deal too is once it gets rolling, it's gonna snowball.
For sure. I mean,
So
like you said earlier, it takes one. Like all we have to do is show a little bit of progress, and we can sell. We can bring in a billionaire investor.
hey man,
Like
look,
people, people.
I'm all for if there's Sheffield and then someone else comes in as a competitor Sheffield, and then that and Sheffield now are competing against each other, and then they're now ascending to new heights. That's helping powerlifting. And then if there's two more of those that come in, now we have four of those.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
for
It's
it
it's
because it's helping
Bellator
the
and the
sport.
UFC. It's all like those two fought each other for dominance for a long time.
What's going on with
P-
Bellator now? Are they dead?
Bellator got bought by the PFL. And PFL, listen, PFL is owned by Viacom. Like PFL could
Oh,
take over in a couple of years if they keep doing what they're doing.
oh
It
wow.
only takes all you got to do is like you sign John Jones, you sign Conor McGregor, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, one of those big names. But Dana White's very competitive, and I don't know.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Don't get me wrong,
There will
absolutely.
come a point where the PFL might be able to compensate to where
The PFL
Dana's
is
going to have
different
to start.
too. The PFL is a different structure.
Well, what I'm saying is there will come a point where in business there's another business that comes in play where now you got to start paying more because otherwise they're
Yep,
going to take your product,
right.
right? So, but no, yeah, no. I mean, I think it could work. It just, I hope it works. I'm rooting for powerlifting. I hope it works.
Me too.
What do you got next for me?
Well, I'm about to wrap up because it's about prime time here, and I got to go be the mayor.
Got you.
But honestly, you know, you know, I think maybe like I do want to kind of wrap. So like,
Yeah,
listen, me and you are not the people we need to convince, right? Like, come on, me and you are going to be locked in. Me and you will be watching this. Like,
yeah.
me and you will be. I mean, what we need to do is we need to go out and I think incentives matter. Like it's really like when you're like, no one's fucking doing that for free. I'm like, absolutely they're not. What we need to do is we need to have I need to be able to, and this is my challenge. My challenge is I need to be able to get incentives to align with what I'm asking people to do.
Uh-huh.
Right? Who's going to play 14 NFL games or 18 NFL games if they're not making millions of dollars? No one. It's just as violent. It's just as dangerous as powerlifting. Like, no one's doing that for free,
Yeah.
right? And so I have to get the right incentives in order to get people to want to do this. That's kind of where I see it as far as everything goes. But any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. My closing thoughts are I do like the direction that powerlifting is headed because it's clearly better than 10 years ago. Um, we have to keep pushing, and I think we're doing that. I want to see you succeed because if you succeed, then it helps the sport. I want to see these ideas succeed. Uh, as a coach, I can do for my little small part to, if it makes sense for our lifters, then it makes no sense to not present what you have as a product to them. Say, hey man, this can change your not only your life a little bit, can help a little bit, but your career.
Right. I mean,
Uh,
it makes more sense. So right now, it's not going to make sense for like top tier. But you know who it might make sense for right now? So like Jesus is going to have a really hard time making money at Sheffield, right? It's really tough for him now. Like he's going to have a hard time unless he's breaking records, right? So, but
yeah.
it's also a lot harder for him to want to compete that frequently because he's like the last person who would want to compete that frequently given the weights he's lifted.
Uh-huh.
But like for athletes where they're in the middle of the pack and they're like someone like a Waskar or someone like that where like Waskar could probably compete more frequently.
Uh-huh.
Um, like it might be better for athletes like that, and then we just try to figure out if it works, and then you can kind of go from there. But
Yeah. So yeah. Closing thoughts. I want to see this work. I'm on board to help from the position that I can. If it can be done, I would love for it to be done. And yeah, I mean, I I work every day, every week, every month of every year since I've been doing this, and I'm not gonna stop. And I think that when we all have to kind of, if we want to see this move in that direction, this is like a 7 day a week thing, in my opinion. And but we also do it because like we're passionate, right? And it's good to see someone like yourself that like you're enthusiastic and passionate about this. And I think that's what has been lacking over the years with like meet directing and stuff. I think people saw ways of meet directing like bring a little bit of cash in, but it wasn't a clean job because those meet directors are not invested in it how they need to be in terms of like enthusiasm and passion and all that and vision. And it's nice to see that we have someone like yourself.
right, so
And yeah,
I say this joke. I might be a psychopath, but at least I'm on a path. Okay, and so that's the difference. I feel like a lot of people in powerlifting have no plan, right?
yeah.
Like the fact that I have the best articulated plan of anyone in powerlifting is not a good thing. Like people should like if you listen,
That's a fair point.
I'm gonna clip this. If you are someone who has a better idea or a better plan, I want to see it.
Yeah,
Show me. Tell me what your plan is.
yeah.
Because I have not found one. I've even played games where I've talked about how I would do it if I wasn't going this way. And I can't figure it out. So if you have a plan, I want to hear it.
Yeah.
Post it up. Give me some graphics. Give me some charts. Show me what your plan is to get athletes paid appropriately, to get the sport on to bigger networks. Show me your
Right.
plan. I want to
Yeah,
see it.
I look at it as like this. Right now, powerlifting is a stock, and people don't like investing in stocks that they don't believe in. But it always takes one or a couple people that believe in a stock, and they've been investing in it, and they've been doing the work. And I think you're on that path right now. And when that stock explodes, there might have been people that wanted to do it but didn't do it because they didn't believe in it. And but you do, and we need that. And it's just it'll be a matter of time until when powerlifting is done right, it will be big. It's
Yep.
just when is that going to happen? But you're working towards it. I think we're all in our own little ways contributing and working towards that for sure. There's a lot of people that are like powerlifting will never be whatever, but there's also us here at these levels that we believe it will be, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. Um, but yeah, man, I'm on board. I'm on board. I've told you that before. I will always critique because you have to, right? Like if you say
No, I mean
something
you
that's
didn't understand, right? And I had to explain it to you. You're like, how is that even going to work? What's going to happen? I'm
well,
like,
yeah,
that's genuine. Like, I need to explain it to you because it sounds crazy, right?
yeah, but that's another thing too is like as you go, like I'm going to be always presenting devil's advocate and like I'm going to be criticizing hard, not from a I'm criticizing so that those criticisms lead to like answers that will work because it makes us think about how are we going to make it work. So that's going to continue to happen, but it's always you already know this. It's always an effort to make sure that oh, this does make sense. I could that actually could work. And you tell one of my athletes right now, right? If you tell one of my athletes, hey, I give you $1,000 for the week or whatever, and I'll pay your travel, I gotta believe a 21-year-old kid might be like, with great ability, or maybe a 28-year-old might be like, I can do it. I can do that. You
Right,
know?
and I think what people need to realize is we're not going to be able to give crazy compensation because we're not going to make crazy compensation.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
we're going to be able to do is we're going to be able to offer you. You're not going to lose anything. We're going to give you some money,
yeah,
and then we're also going to give you some stock And then that someday, if this works out, is going to be generational for you.
You're
Right?
offering more than what they're already doing now.
Yes, right,
So yeah,
exactly. We're already offering you way more than we can get, but we
right.
know there's inherent risk, so we're going to take the risk with you. You get a little bit of that stock, you get a little bit of equity,
Yeah.
you take it, and then if it works out, you're going to be a millionaire, maybe, maybe. But
Maybe.
like, listen. If you were on the ground floor of the UFC, you're a millionaire now, right?
Yeah.
If you're on the ground floor of this and it works out, and then worst case, if it doesn't work out, we go back to how things are right now.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. It's like it would be like you would lose nothing.
I'm all about
You'd
I'm
have
all
a fun
about yeah.
time. I promise you, our meets are really fun. You'd have a
Yeah.
great time.
I think it makes sense for opportunity where you could gain, and if it doesn't work out, you don't lose.
Yep, exactly. All
100%.
right. Thank you so much. Happy birthday, brother. Glad we could talk for a couple hours.
Thank you.
This will be live on all platforms. Obviously, you're going to see tons of reels coming out after. But I will see you next time, all right?
Yes, sir. Take care. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
All right.